What is up, everybody? This is FSP episode number 62. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you all being here as always. If you are here either live or after the fact, you rock, and means a lot to me that you do show up and give our show a chance each and every week. If you do like the content, hit that like button, share this out, sub to the channel, hit the notification bell, and all that awesome stuff. And we got a fun show today because we had some fun news today. Yes, the EU, the regulatory body of the EU, the EC, the European Commission, has approved the Activision Blizzard acquisition. So we will talk about what that means, how the CMA looks in all of this, what that means maybe going forward for this acquisition, and if it's going to end up happening and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a fun show. Plus, also, we'll take a look at the games coming out this week as well. Maybe a look back and kind of what we've been playing and stuff like that this past week, including that Diablo beta. But before we get started, gotta say hello to this awesome panel. Psycho, how's it going, bro?
What's up, Mav? Yeah, I've been doing pretty well. As I was saying, behind the in the green room, I guess we call it, behind the scenes.
Green room, go Xbox. Yeah, let's go green room.
Yes, so playing some State of Decay 2.
Nice.
Today, I mean, the entire weekend was nothing but Diablo 4 beta, and I was kind of sad that it stopped at, I think, like 1 o'clock in the or 3 in the afternoon. And I was kind of sad. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
wanted to try a couple things.
Did they tell us what time it was going to end exactly? Because it seemed like some people were surprised when it ended abruptly.
Yeah, I think they did, but
nobody paid attention.
No one paid attention.
Yeah. I think it's just because we're not used to betas ending in the middle of an afternoon like that.
Yeah, on a weekend. Yeah. It started early on a Friday, so I think they just they were like a day ahead, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. It fantastic fun. There was, what was it? We did something, I think, on Saturday. And I went through, when I went through that Idol or the Obol event, I was doing a couple things, trying to get those Obels, and that I got 3 legendaries by doing that.
Oh, nice.
So that's seems to work pretty decent. A lot feasible than trying to go through that one level 30.
Yeah, that shit camp. Was not. That was not cool. That farming technique that person posted, that wasn't for me, man. Y'all set me up with that shit. Like, I feel like I hopped into that thinking, okay, yeah, we're gonna go farm and get some legendaries. These guys know what's up. I go in there and we're just getting annihilated left and right, and it cost me money. Like, it cost me way more than I got. It was ridiculous. Like, I don't understand the point of that. Unless you're trying to learn how to get good, I can understand that, but I was just running for my life the whole damn time. I don't know how you guys even got anything, because I was just running around and dying and running back in and dying and running back in over and over and over again.
That seems like a you problem, because we all had it all worked out for us.
Yeah, because y'all watched the video and knew it. Like, y'all were like, "Hey, there's a route." I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about? There's a route to take." Like, there's a route. I'm just sitting there trying to not get killed. I'm like sitting there trying to fight guys and stuff. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. It was fun though. And at least we got some items we can transmog in the game, so it was good fun.
I finally learned what that meant too, so that was great. Transmog.
Yeah, besides that, man, it's just today's announcement was a freaking positive. Was a plus for the gaming community, and I can't wait to get into that. So I'll let the next person go.
Yeah, we'll have
I've been talking too long.
Yeah, you're okay. I talking good stuff here. What's up, Fuzz? How are you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be here with you guys. I was one of those that didn't know what the cutoff was for Diablo, so finally got up to level 20. Had I think I had like 3 legendaries on my character, and the rest were in gold, and was starting to add the runes and stuff to it. And then it was like, oh, I can't go to where I want to go to the fast travel to this place. And then it's like I'm like about to ready to record it and all, and then it's like, oh, let me log out and quit and see if that helps it. And it's like, oh, breaking news, the server's shut down. Thanks for playing. Like, what the? So little disappointed because I didn't even get a chance at the shovel or anything like that. But it is what it is. But looking forward to when that game comes out, next month or pretty much later this month and stuff with the early access stuff. But yeah, doing pretty good. Some awesome news this Monday. So a great way to start off the week. We can't wait to get into that stuff. But man, oh man, just glad to be here with you guys. Let's do this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, we need to get you in the clan next time when we get the actual full game going.
Yeah.
3-bit. How's it going, man?
Yo.
Hey, did we find out? Did you find out yet? Is this a thing that you are going to have to step away for a month or so? Or
Friday? I find out Friday.
You find out Friday? Okay. Besides that, how's it going?
Get his predictions in
Pretty
this
good.
week.
Yeah, I'll have to get your predictions in this week for sure. Like, especially if we do the prediction special, like, I got to get that in this week because you won't be allowed to talk about it after that. But will I be allowed to?
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, if you do work on the Xbox showcase, will I be able to include a pre-recorded video of you making predictions?
I don't know.
Why not? He wouldn't know anything.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, I would assume so.
I would have to show like a receipt of when we recorded it or something like that, right?
Yeah, because sometimes they are weird, like about me even live streaming sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I would have to ask them. Ask some peeps over there. Good day. We hold the line, all right?
Yeah.
Hold the line.
Hold the line.
It's been very
shout out to King David.
Interesting day. Yeah, shout out to King David for the hold the line thing. It's been an interesting week. I feel like I've been a fake gamer this week. Like I've been playing mobile games and like I played like these random mobile games. I've been advertising to like these puzzle games and got Fortnite, which that's some people like, you're not a gamer, you play Fortnite. I don't know. But that was really fun. I got to play Fortnite on stream with you guys. It makes me want to play it a little bit more. But I did get some Jedi in this week. And today's been really interesting. There's been a lot of people, a lot of PlayStation podcasts are suddenly missing. They're just disappeared. Interesting how that happens. When the CMA blocks it, they're all talk, but they're gone.
Yeah.
Today
they got snapped by Thanos today. I think we'll see them again in 5 years when all Call of Duty games are in Game Pass and.
Yep. All the Reforges, the MVGs, they're all disappeared today. So
that
interesting.
Reforged guy supposedly has some interesting takes. So we'll talk about that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. But other than that, good day for gaming. Interesting assessment we'll be getting into from the EU and their response of the CMA, which is really funny. And yeah, it's been a good day. So I'll pass it on to whoever is next. Jasper.
What's up, Jazz? How you doing?
Yo. I've been playing Ready or Not. I'm trying to get back used to that game so that I can download some mods and make that game a little more interesting. I saw one where there's a mod for it to make it like the unrecorded game, the first person like Unreal 5 game. So like you can mod it to where it's like body camera footage, so you're playing through that. It's also one with zombies, so you have like 55 people run at you with knives. So I've been trying to get used to that so I can get the mods working for that. So that's what I've been up to.
Right on. We did play some Fortnite yesterday for Mother's Day on a stream here on the channel. Jasper joined into that. 3-bit actually played some games with us, which I got to say, 3-bit is nice playing a game with you again. It's been a little while.
It was fun. Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, Kate had a blast, she said, and we got a couple wins. We got 2 wins in a row, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is pretty fun. And gotta say that this is probably the best place that Fortnite's been in a long time, I think. I used to play a lot. In fact, if you go back and look at, how Xbox did the 20-year thing, I was embarrassed to see that my most played game of all time was Fortnite. But now that doesn't account for my Halo 2 days because it was a different gamer tag back then. But played the shit out of Fortnite back in the day. But like it was fun trying to get back into it a little bit yesterday. So thanks for playing with us, guys. It was a blast. We got to do it again. There's another mode that's in Fortnite that's I tried. Kate told me about it. And do y'all remember the Unreal event? And they showed like this realistic looking map and stuff with Fortnite. So they actually have that there now. And it looks like a realistic like Call of Duty type map. And you can play domination in like a 5-round match. It's pretty interesting. Like there's no building or anything like that. So you just go and you try and capture locations, and it's best 3 out of 5. Maybe it's kind of like a mix between like domination from Call of Duty with the look of it, but maybe kind of like Rogue Company in a way as well. So it's actually pretty fun. We need to try that sometime as a team. But I do recommend, if you have not played Fortnite in a while, give that mode a try because it's very different. Very, very different.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's different. It's different, man. It's like it shows what's capable within those created games, and the engine. This one's by Epic, right? So they actually took the time to build that map out. I'm wondering if they'll take the time and put more maps like that in there and stuff to fully flesh out that mode. But it's
110 people in here. Everyone hit that like button.
Everybody's excited today about the EU news. I mean, even I was in some chats like showing support to some other pods and stuff. Like X and C was
Boom
live.
broke a record today.
Yeah, Dirk Griggity was live earlier, and people were like, "Hey, you having a show tonight?" Like, yeah, we're having a show tonight, man. We usually do on for FSP on Monday nights, but like people want to talk about this EU stuff because it's a big deal. It's a pretty damn big deal if I don't say. And shout out to the 110 people here watching. I appreciate you all being here. I see a lot of familiar names. You guys all rock. But yeah, we got quite a bit of stuff to talk about. EU, right? The EC came out and did what was expected, unlike the CMA. Similar reports leading up to an announcement today. Originally we had reports that the CMA was going to approve it as well, and then they came out and did what they did. But so we were kind of like holding our breath a little bit just in case the reports were inaccurate again. But this time the reports turned out to be true. The EU did approve the acquisition of ABK by Microsoft in the EU, and I think it's a very big deal. It's a very, very big deal because if this did not happen, it's a dead deal. Like then ABK would probably not be happening. The fighting against 2 different regulators in Europe area would not happen to any kind of success really, and there'd be too much of a fight there. But now it's pretty much FTC's irrelevant. They're gonna do what they were gonna do all along anyway, and gonna lose in court. So it's pretty much down to the CMA now. And even the more interesting thing was, even after the expected announcement of the approval from the EC, the CMA had to make a tweet. The CMA had to make a tweet, and I thought this was almost like just as interesting as the EC approval, because I don't know, I don't really recall any other regulatory bodies like tweeting after other approvals from other groups or anything like that too much. But the CMA felt defensive, like insecure, like they know they done fucked up, and now they got to try and double down on their stance to try and like make excuses for why they thought the way they thought. Because they actually came out and made a tweet saying like, well, we see that the EU approved it, but
It seems so petty.
like, but
Just reading it.
we're still standing on our square. Like, we think that we were in the right here, despite
Now
what
the CMA
EU
is holding the
thinks.
line.
Like, we really gotta protect the cloud market and the gamers around the world, because we're the CMA and we say what happens, and like, what the hell? Like, you guys sound so defensive and so insecure. It was like, wow, God, the CMA is fucking rattled right now. They are rattled. They're shaking in their boots. They're standing on that square on one leg and about to fall their ass over is what it seems like right now. And even the UK Prime Minister and things going on within the UK are kind of like against the CMA right now within this acquisition a little bit. So things are about to get interesting here. Like I said, the FTC is irrelevant, really. If the CMA hadn't blocked this, we'd be having a different discussion today. We'd be talking about, hey, when are they officially going to close? Right? Because that was the last major hurdle for closing. Right now, we're in this limbo because of the dumbass CMA and this regulatory process of going back and appealing, and then them looking at themselves in the mirror, be like, "Do we still believe what we thought we believed before?" And maybe they say yes, but whoever they're looking at in the mirror is an idiot, and I think they see that now, regardless. So the interesting thing is going to be what goes from here, and what does the CMA do? What does the UK do? What does Microsoft do? And I think we can all look at this and say that this gave Microsoft the juice to keep going, the excuse to keep going, the will to keep fighting, because the UK ain't going to stop this deal alone. Like, I just really don't feel that. And Microsoft, I think, is going to look at all the different possibilities, all the different scenarios, and have a solution for all the different ones that they can try and maneuver around the CMA, around the UK if they have to, within certain aspects of the business model, within cloud gaming or something like that. Or they can go through and just fight the appeals, see how much support they have from the UK government as well. And it's going to be an interesting fight here. But yeah, let's get to this panel and get some thoughts on this glorious day for gamers around the world. That's what it seems like on Twitter today. It's like, let's all celebrate. We would be celebrating if the big time if the CMA wasn't dumbasses, but they are. So we're in a little bit different situation. But Psycho, what was your first reaction to this today?
Oh my God. With the CMA, or not the CMA, with the EU passing it, it was awesome. This was the one step that we were kind of hoping that they did pass. Then it kind of nullifies the FTC's case truly, and it makes the CMA why they blocked. It shows that they didn't give. It was more of an agenda piece than them actually looking, and even like so the EC saw an issue with cloud, so they had a remedy for it. So, and that is something that the CMA could have easily done, but did not do that. So instead of saying, you know what, this is our concerns, do you want to address it before we, whatever? If not, then we'll make our decision. But now that because is it the CAT, the regulatory bodies that will, so now that kind of gives CAT like, oh, okay, well, the EC, which we were a part of at one point, they passed it with this remedy. So now their concern was that Microsoft or Xbox locking down cloud game or Activision games behind with cloud. Now this gives, I think, free access to those games on any streaming service. So I think that's what that was. I have
the concession exactly from Brad Smith's words here. It says, the European Commission has required Microsoft to license popular Activision Blizzard games automatically to competing cloud gaming services. This will apply globally and will empower millions of consumers worldwide to play these games on any device they choose, which Microsoft was going to probably do anyway. They'd already been making these deals left and right, and the EU concession was that they have to just do it with anybody that's willing to allow their games on their platform, pretty much. So I think that this kind of nullifies the main CMA argument here, right? It
does,
because if the EC is requiring this and they're willing to regulate it and it affects the entire globe, then wouldn't the UK not really have to regulate it themselves, which was part of their concern? And I got to say this about the CMA. I think it's that whole notion from the CMA regarding like, well, we want to be a regulatory body, but we don't really want to regulate anything. It's kind of fucking stupid. Like, we just want to make the rules, but we don't want to actually enforce them. Like, why do you exist? Like, come on, get some fucking muscle, man. Like, you want to try and act like people can't do stuff, but then you like, when you just don't allow any solutions because you don't have the willpower or foresight or whatever to try and actually enforce them. Come on. That's just lame as shit. So this is like, with this concession, for me, that skirts around that. And I don't really understand how the CMA can continue making the case of this being an issue, right? Because if it's not an issue anymore because it's already agreed to that from the EC that they would have to enforce it, and their little cloud market that even Lena Khan was like, we have to protect the nascent markets. Like, what? Okay. All right, Lena. Right. You can tell that the UK and the CMA are like, I mean, the UK and the FTC or the CMA and the FTC are saying the same stuff.
Yeah. You know, the fact that like they had a meeting not even that long ago and they just happened to be very aligned with their points with FTC and the CMA. I don't think that was a coincidence, even though they said like, oh, we didn't talk about Microsoft, which happens to be the biggest deal on their agenda for the FTC and also the CMA. I'm like, why else would you guys, what you guys be talking about? Like toasters? Like, why would you guys have a meeting that you guys discussed? But I digress. To me, it is still weird. Like, yes, the deal passed and they had the concession. EU managed to get concessions out of Microsoft for basically something Microsoft was going to do anyways. It to me, it's still weird that they are putting, like, the government is putting so many regulations on a market that isn't even really that's still in its infancy. Like, they only have 1 to 3% of the market, essentially, cloud gaming. So the fact that they are willing, CMA is willing to block the deal over 1% of the market is still really weird to me. That they have their like, oh, they're CMA over 1% is still kind of weird. But you know, I guess that's where Microsoft has to play ball, and they're just like, here, you know. And a lot of what's happening with this deal, what's interesting about it to me as well is the fact that the UK Prime Minister was saying the timing of what he was essentially saying was, we want less regulation in the UK. I don't think that's a coincidence that he said that not long after Microsoft was kind of complaining like UK is closed for business, essentially. They want businesses to essentially come here. But I think that Microsoft still has a pretty good deal with what's happening here with all these different contracts. They don't have to necessarily put their games on PlayStation, like they're not forced to if they don't want to. In fact, in one of the EU stances was, we don't necessarily like even if we took Call of Duty away on PlayStation, it's not going to affect the overall console market. That's not what Microsoft is going to do. But it is interesting that with the consoles, that CMA and EU didn't deem it as worthy because they probably saw the numbers. They're like, we can't justify this in an argument. So they went. It is weird that they didn't justify that, but they're justifying the cloud argument, which is 1% of the market. To me, that's still freaking weird.
Now, the thing that I could only see with the CMA and the EC kind of focusing on the cloud, that is possibly what the future entails. So instead of going to addressing at that point where somebody might say, oh, Microsoft is too much of a market leader, now we need to renegotiate this deal. They do it now where they say this is the limitation, this is what our remedies are, and we're okay with it, at least with the EC. The CMA, for whatever reason, instead of focusing on what was beneficial for the UK, they did globally, which is not what they're supposed to do. Their main concerns are the UK citizens, and if it's going to hurt those customers or not. It should not matter what's going on across the pond or anywhere globally with this deal. So for them to make it globally just shows that, because that's kind of what like the FTC is stance with this. So it's like you guys are very on the verge of showing that you guys there was collusion and possibly making doing more harm to the CMA and the FTC. FTC, Leah Khan more likely being removed from office, and then the CMA either because tomorrow the Prime Minister and the Parliament are having a sit down with the CMA about not ABK, but with their tech. Pretty much, they want the tech industry to flourish.
I brought this up, and not to get you up, but like FTC lost, what was it, 6 or 7 different cases. It's very political for the FTC. Like when people are saying, "Oh, well, the FTC is still going to block it. The FTC is still going to block it." Like I don't think I think a lot of people don't consider that FTC's stance right now is attacking big tech, right? It has nothing to do with whether or not they have an actual case. It's more so about the messaging. Like, look, we're attacking the big bad Microsoft. Like, despite what evidence like Microsoft actually has, like, hey, this is third in the market. Here's how it's going to affect. We're still delivering these games on other platforms, other devices. They don't really care about concession. FTC was in the room with Microsoft for what was it, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before they said, we're blocking you, we're suing you. It just goes to show you what their agenda is. They don't want they don't want to negotiate, essentially. So that's where it becomes very political. Rather than like talk to Microsoft, like, hey, what concessions can we try to make? They weren't even trying to make any concessions. And I think after this one with the EU, it just you're gonna have a judge look at it and like, okay, this deal has been approved in 37 other countries. You're gonna say that, like, we're the outlier, like like good luck trying to prove that
FTC
to
was
a judge.
never gonna have a good case. Like they were gonna, they know that they're gonna lose in court. Like they're just trying to bring it up to get the laws changed. Is what the FTC is doing. The CMA is a different beast because like the CMA doesn't really have any recourse or very much recourse against it, so they can kind of act like as a rogue agent and like almost be used by the FTC, which is what it seems like here. And the interesting thing with the CMA though is they're getting pressure from their government now, and it's like it makes, in a way, imagine this scenario, right? Every other regulatory body in the world approves this deal, right? The EU actually gets concessions that help the consumer, right? The FTC loses in court, proving all the other theories were wrong, right? But the CMA, which has no real recourse or much recourse against it, is still holding strong on some stupid belief that they have that holds up a deal that affects the entire world. Okay, how does that make not only the UK look? How does it make the CMA look? And how does it affect other tech companies from wanting to do business in the future in the UK? Right? And that's Microsoft's point. And that's the point of like, hey, I guess the UK is closed for business. And that's why they're getting pressure from their government right now, because it's not a good look, right? The rest of the world saying that stuff doesn't matter, it's irrelevant, or that, hey, we have solutions. And you're like, hey, we can't figure this out, man. I think we're just going to have to block the deal. You know, I think they're going to fuck over everybody. Where these concessions and everything is really already handled now, right? So it's like I think the CMA made this tweet today because they kind of have to try and justify.
It's like poker.
They gotta justify themselves. They're trying to justify themselves already, right? And they probably will try and do this in the future to the UK government as well. But I don't. Here's the thing: they use fake ass numbers to their judgment to begin with. Okay, because their argument to begin with from the CMA was about Microsoft has this much share of the cloud market and all this kind of stuff, right? Which we all know Microsoft's ahead of the game in the cloud market than the other gaming companies, but they're utilizing numbers from Game Pass subscribers that don't use it, right? That's like saying, you know, I have a DVD player and I don't buy movies, right? Am I really contributing to the movie industry out there or the movie market or whatever by not really purchasing things? The numbers don't equate. So I think it was like only like 5,000 people or some shit in the UK that actually even used the cloud that it came out, but they equated that to be like they include all these Game Pass subscribers and all this stuff that don't actually even use the cloud. So Microsoft's solution could be like, we'll just fucking shut down the xCloud in the UK. If only 5,000 people use it anyway right now. I mean, could they do that? I don't know, but there's talk about that. The other thing is like the other way the numbers are flawed is, well, if you consider that just by having a service or having a platform or whatever equates you to being able to access the ecosystem, well, then PlayStation has a huge cloud base as well because they have a lot of subscribers, right? Well, what about Netflix?
Amazon as
right?
well.
What about Amazon?
Well.
If you're a Prime subscriber, I mean, like, where does that stop? You know, I think that ultimately they can look at Game Pass and say, well, you have this many subscribers, but like, you can't justify that and discount everybody else that could potentially jump into the cloud. Any of these companies, PlayStation, Nintendo, you have Nvidia and all these other providers, all of a sudden they could just do something and add a much larger user base by giving them access to something. Like if PlayStation tomorrow is like, hey, you know, all of our games are going to be available in the cloud if you purchase them, right? It's a flip of the switch, and all of a sudden they have the massive dominant market share in the cloud business. You know, you can't, like, there's no real world where this is a guaranteed monopoly over something for Microsoft going into the future. And that's where the flaws lie in. And I think that's some of the arguments that they can use against the CMA with CAT to try and get an appeal, because that's a procedural thing with the actual. Remember, CMA admitted they fucked up on the math on the PlayStation stuff. And so that makes every single regulatory body out there, every single one that's approved this deal, I think there's 38 now, saying
and this
that
adds to their case.
PlayStation's shit that didn't matter. The stuff that was made the biggest stink about, the CMA screaming about it, You know, the FTC talking about it. Everybody talking about Sony, Call of Duty. Oh my God, what's going to happen if Xbox gets Call of Duty? Remember Jim Ryan? We can't find a way to exist if Call of Duty goes on to Game Pass. This is like it's gonna
Remember
kill
that
us.
CMA guy
right?
that was basically saying like, what about my PlayStation?
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
like all these scenarios, and really every single regulatory body said, "No, PlayStation, you're fine." Even the UK, even the CMA said that when they had to discount their original concerns because of their false math, right? Like, so it's interesting here what's going to happen. But the bottom line is that this approval now gives Microsoft the legs to stand on to keep the fight going forward to get this deal done. What are your odds? Did your odds like improve, Fuzzy? I mean, I know that it's still up in the air, right? But what are your feelings today as opposed to like a couple days ago?
I've kind of felt that it's still a possibility, and this just helps improve that a good bit. I think the thing that's funny though with the whole CMA deal is that Amazon Luna made the announcement that they're in the UK like the day after they blocked the Activision Blizzard deal. So it for them to even look at the cloud market as this big segment that they have to protect before it even really gets started is comical to me. But I think the EU basically put it in layman's terms that despite what the CMA tweeted later on that today, saying that the EU was the ones that were wrong, they clearly laid out a plan. So any apprehension against a cloud market being hard to compete in, that's been wiped away. So I just don't understand why the CMA tried to double down with their tweet today. It just made them look like they're the oddballs and either not paying attention in class kind of thing, or just doing their own thing. They got their ball and they're taking it home type of deal just because the same I guess you could say economic community that they decided because of Brexit to not be a part of, outpaced them or outdid them as far as doing a logical, process and negotiating a deal. Like I remember growing up early on, not to make this all political or anything, but there used to be times where it was herald to negotiate, like sit down, hash things out. Yeah, you may lose some points, you may gain some points, but it was always a negotiation process. So that way both sides can walk away from the table feeling like they won. And the CMA, kind of, I joked about it before. When they did the block, it was like they kind of were going to do the block anyway. And after they realized, well, we can't legitimately say the console thing is the reason. So let's come up with some sort of reason. And they just decided to pick the cloud, figuring nobody was going to check their work or check their homework or something. So I don't know. I think this is a bigger step forward. Yeah, the FTC is still going to be a little bit of a speed bump, but that's something that can be handled in the courts. And luckily, the way our process works, at least we have other checks and balances to kind of double check and recheck the work of other regulators. But the CMA,
CMA is not like that.
Yeah, I've heard the prime minister can overrule it, and there's supposed to be some meetings going on. And I mean, yeah, he's posting on LinkedIn as opposed to Twitter or whatever, which seems weird. Which, hey, it's a Microsoft platform. Let me post on here showing my support for Microsoft. But yeah, I think this is a positive move forward. It's just a matter of I was hoping for it, to be wrapped up by the time of the showcase. Unfortunately, that doesn't appear that'll be the case, but hopefully if everything continues in this direction, I think there's North Korea and China, not North Korea, I'm sorry.
They still
South
haven't,
Korea and China are the only two really left. So
if we need their approval, there might be a problem. I'm just saying,
they're not.
I might go there, but yeah, I think once South Korea and China, approve, the CMA will be the odd one standing out. And yeah, people will point, oh, the FTC, like I've been reading tweets today about, well, the FTC blocked it. No, they haven't blocked it. They just suing in an attempt to block because they can't actually block it, without having some sort of court case or court proceedings.
Yeah.
Which
They need to get a preliminary injunction at least first, and then they gotta have it shut down in court because they don't actually have the power. Imagine if Lena Khan had the power that the CMA does.
I mean, I think at this point there would be a lot more taxpayer dollars wasted in these regulatory, hearings where it's like, hey, did you meet with the CMA? Hey, what's this about this extra spending for experts and things? So if she had that kind of power, I think things would be drawn out a lot longer, especially considering you're going up against $1 trillion company in the US. And at some point people are going to look at it as, well, why are you impeding a US company in the US? It just seems disingenuous for protection of the consumer.
I mean, that's what those Congress meetings were about, right? They were like, why should we give you funding? Because I think the FTC was asking for.
Did they ever rule on that? Did the FTC ever get more funding?
I don't think so.
I think that's still up for review. I think she still has to submit some of the paperwork that she was kind of being a little catty about, as far as with their like third-party experts and stuff like that they wanted. That's right. So I think once that gets all turned in, then I think they will make their decision. I mean, there was an old adage as far as when it comes to government: if you want your budget renewed, or if you want to increase your budget, you got to spend everything that you did the previous, or that you got the previous year. And more than likely, even though we're kind of in this shutdown mode with Capitol Hill right now, my gut is saying that they'll probably get the budget, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really win this case. A budget isn't what they need. A rethink of how they approach the big tech companies until they can get actual litigation or laws changed. They have to at least come to the table. And it didn't seem like Lena Khan was about any of that negotiating stuff. It's like, oh no, it was almost like Jim Ryan. We don't want a new deal. We want to block the deal. Yeah. She was of the same mindset. So maybe she's on the take as well, or on Jim's friends list or something. I don't know, but it's a big step forward.
Yeah. So I'm going to, read the actual response from
CMA
CMA.
Can you read it in a British accent?
Sure. All response to the European Commission that's really bad.
It's good enough.
Yeah, that's
Just
pretty good. All response to the European Commission's announcement today on Microsoft Activision, the UK, US, and European competition authorities are unanimous that this merger would harm competition in cloud gaming. The CMA concluded that cloud gaming needs to continue as a free, competitive market to drive innovation and choice in this rapidly evolving sector. That's almost Australian, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Microsoft's proposals accepted by the European Commission today would allow Microsoft to set the terms and conditions for this market for the next 10 years. Why do I sound so fucking Australian right now? They would replace a free, open, and competitive market with one subject to ongoing regulation of the games Microsoft sells, the platform to which it sells them, and the conditions of sale. This is one of the reasons the CMA independent panel group rejected Microsoft's proposals and prevented this deal. While we recognize and respect that the European Commission is entitled to take a different view, the CMA stands by its decision.
Please, sir,
CMA.
may I have some more?
Some more tea. They just sounded so petty. Like I don't know, if anyone also saw this when they first issued their response. When I was just reading through it, it just seemed like whoever was typing it was just kind of petty and mad. It just seemed very defensive of them, and I think
why even make a response?
Yeah, why are you basically in a way attacking another regulatory body? Like, if you're so secure in your position, then why did you immediately be like, well, we still have our stance, and we, it just seemed like very defensive. But again, when they appeal to Cat, I just feel like Microsoft has a pretty good case. They have the cases where they mismanage some numbers. They're like, hey, it's approved in 37 other countries. Are you going to be the one that holds out? Because, I'm sure Microsoft is going to have something like that. But
I can just imagine the CMA sitting down for breakfast this morning. They have their tea and crumpets, and they got the beans and toast, and they're like sitting there. Oh, let's read the morning paper here to see what happened today. Oh, blimey. The EU approved the ABK deal. What's going on here? We have to try and fight back. Get on Twitter. Get your emojis ready. Was there any emojis on this?
This one did not have an eye emoji this time.
No emojis today.
Was there? Let me see.
Yeah, no emojis today. They're more serious
they're
today.
mad.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I got it. They got a downward emoji just to say that there's more in the thread, right? But they were a little lax on the emojis, less firm, But yeah, they as I did find it interesting. Do we think that the CMA actually thought the EU was going to block this? The EC was going to block it? I almost feel like they were caught off guard and was like, oh shit. Well, I guess we stand alone. I don't know.
I think they were thinking maybe they would align with their views on it.
They called Leah and Khan this
Possibly.
morning. Like, Leah, they approved it. What are we going to do? Are they going to find out we were in collusion with one another? I don't know what to do, Leah.
And that's just my.
I like how you
like-
said her name wrong every time.
Leah.
Because she's not that important. That's why I don't really remember.
It's interesting, even in the CMA's response, you can kind of like pick this apart, right? Because they say they would they said Microsoft proposals accepted by the European Commission today would allow Microsoft to set the terms and conditions for this market for the next 10 years.
They said
So, like for the
US
entire
and-
fucking market, Microsoft would be able to set the terms and conditions for the entire cloud gaming market for the next year, or only relegated to ABK games and their games that go into the market, because like there's more cloud services than just Microsoft. So I don't understand how this would allow them to set the entire terms and conditions for the entire market for the next 10 years. It would only allow them to set the terms and conditions on their own games in which they own for the next 10 years, which is normal for any provider of any publisher that's putting games on a cloud service. So that is the dumbest fucking statement I've seen, and I expected better, not really, from people that should be knowledgeable on the way business works. It's just completely asinine. Again, Microsoft's proposals accepted by the European Commission today would allow Microsoft to set the terms and conditions for this market for the next 10 years. What? Where are you coming up with this dumbass take? Secondly, they said they would replace a free, open, and competitive market with one subject to ongoing regulation. Only the regulation that y'all required, that the EU required of them. There's no other regulation going on in it except for the regulation that y'all make them put their games on other cloud services, which benefits those cloud services and the consumers of those platforms. So you want to say that it has to be ongoing regulatory shit going on, regulation? Like, it's just, that's what they wanted. So that's what they agreed to. If they didn't make Microsoft do that, guess what? There would be no regulation on it. So it's like, that's just a completely asinine statement again as well. Ongoing regulation of the games Microsoft sells, the platforms to which it sells them, and the conditions of sale. Isn't Microsoft always open to choosing where they put their games? Like, this is like a ridiculous thing. Again, it's a double standard with the entire industry, and that, like, this is like something that I just can't get behind with this thought process, that there's some kind of problem with Microsoft deciding not to put games somewhere. And in this case, they decided they are going to, which they probably were going to anyway, but now they're required to. So now the CMA is saying there's a problem with that because it is regulated. Like, if you don't want regulation, then just fucking bow out and say we approve the deal, and it's still a free, open fucking market, except maybe less Call of Duty and ABK games show up on other platforms, which, again, like you say, it's not going to kill PlayStation. Why would that kill other cloud services? This is such a fucking stupid, ignorant take. I'm sorry, CMA, but you're morons, absolute morons. And there's no truth or actual validity to any of these arguments that you make. Your independent panel group that you says rejected this deal is just fucking stupid. I'm sorry.
It's
Independent
so
panel
weird because they
group is,
constantly
PlayStation
contradict
fanboys.
themselves. It's crazy though, the fact that they said the UK, US, and European competition authorities are unanimous that this merger would harm competition cloud gaming after the EU just approved it and the US is still going through the process. Like, you're using those as your argument to say that, like, hey, they won't harm competition. This shows me their stance. Like, it's interesting, to say the least.
We got a $5 super chat from Alvin. Shout out to Alvin. Appreciate you, bro. Says CMA looked at the E decision the same was Grima Wormtongue looked at the fellowship arriving to talk to King Theoden. Brad Smith the White is here. Some Lord of the King reference there.
No power here.
It's interesting. Like I just still don't get it. Like, the CMA is pretty much talking the same way that the FTC is. They're making the same kind of points, which are just based on no reality whatsoever. Jasper, why, like, what's next? Do you foresee a path? Or is this still...
Well, let me tell you, the CMA here is right in all regards. They are... Microsoft is monopoly. Let me just... get my hair popped up there. Let me tell you, this is my monologue for today. The CMA is right. The EU is disastrous. They are giving Xbox gamers hope everywhere, and they need to calm down. They're ridiculous.
Wow, well said. Wow. Man. That's you almost look like
PlayStation 5.
You almost look like Dick Van Dyke with that way you're hunching over there. Yeah, that you sounded like a lot of people on Twitter today, actually, as well. You know, like, oh man, this is a bad day for gamers everywhere. This is so bad.
You know that NeoJeff, there was an article that someone had an opinion piece. It has to be true because it goes with my my narrative, so it has to be right. So I'm gonna point that out, and I'm just a fucking idiot on Twitter, by the way.
Somebody on Reddit said this before a long time ago, so it must have some validity to it. Tom from Toonami with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Says the CMA, FTC, and EC all agree this will harm the market. Murray, the lie detector determined that was a lie. Yeah.
How can you harm a market that's not even a majority? Like, that's so weird to me. Like, you're not gonna say cloud game is gonna harm the market when it's like 5,000 people playing in the UK on the cloud. Like, does that make sense to anybody? You're gonna, it's like, this is gonna harm the market, and then you're like 1% of the market.
We have these 5,000 gamers to look out for here. It's gonna counter-prove the deal.
So, what about us, the 5,000 people? It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Well, look out for them. This nascent market of 5,000. We're gonna have their choices. We're gonna make sure they don't get to play ABK games and their cloud streaming platform of choice. That would be so horrible. That would be so bad. CMA, come on. What's your deal? I don't get it.
Where were they when Stadia closed? They should have been all on Google. Like, no, you can't close that. That's making people lose jobs. That and hurting gamers. You got to stay open.
Jago6 says Amazon just launched their cloud gaming services Luna in the UK. 18 million. How come the CMA didn't block Amazon? Well, I guess that 60% isn't valid anymore because Luna's now here. They have way more people in the cloud and the next cloud.
That's why I just like regulatory things, like when they're very selective about who they decide to regulate, and how with the FTC it is very political. Like, they're like, oh, big bad Microsoft, and the quotes even Lena is making, like, we don't want big tech basically working here. So you're blocking for the wrong reasons. And instead of protecting people, which should be your mission as a regulatory body,
Right.
that's not what they end up doing. They are just blocking for a political message, like saying, like, hey,
Yeah.
look, we're attacking big tech. You're just saying that to attack big tech rather than like, hey, this will actually benefit people. Where is this going to benefit people? They don't do any research.
You can look at the EC and feel like, well, hey, they got to win for consumers somewhat, right? Hey, regardless if Microsoft's probably going to do that anyway, like they made them guarantee that they're going to do it. Right?
Can you guys describe what that means? They said, what was the quote from Brad Smith? Like they were saying,
I think I read
that
it
they're
a
going
little
to
while
offer
ago.
licenses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read it a little while
Can you
ago.
explain that a little bit?
I'd have to. Yeah, basically that popular ABK games they're going to have to put on competitors' cloud services, and
Which they're
like
gonna
they're
do
being forced.
anyways.
Yeah, they're being. That's the concession they agreed to, and they're still doing 10-year deals with other companies as well. Like this is for the next 10
So
years.
just
at
keeping it
least.
open, just keeping it open to other cloud, like people who want Activision Blizzard games.
They have to put them on there if the other platform allows their games to be on the platform, then they have to put them on there. As well, the way I read it, right? Like they have to put the games on the other cloud services.
So if I decide tomorrow,
and
hey, I'm gonna
competing
make
cloud
three-
services.
The thing is, those other
I
cloud-
could be competing 3-bits cloud service. I
think,
decide
like,
to launch it tomorrow.
yeah, but I think the confusion is like they still have to sign a deal with, like, let's use PlayStation example, because like there has to be some kind of money transaction there when people buy the in-game items. So like they
Right.
still have to come to some type of deal there. They can't just put it on there and be like, "And our hands are clean. We put it
Right.
on there."
I
So like
would
PlayStation
assume
still has to come to that table somehow.
I would assume the terms would still have to be about what everybody else is signing.
Yeah.
And if Microsoft could be like, well, they don't want it, right? So
Yeah.
it's like that. At the end of the day, like that's fine, I think. But I don't think like Google launches a new stadium like we don't want Xbox games over here and be like, oh, you gotta close down ABK. You gotta close them down now because Google says no. I don't think that's the world that we're gonna live in, right? But like I feel like it's a pretty mediocre concession, like with all the scenarios before that we had about, well, they're going to force. The funny thing is we all assumed the one concession was always going to be like they have to put Call of Duty on PlayStation, right? And remember, PlayStation's the one company that didn't sign that 10-year deal. No regulatory body has even made a deal about that now, and like PlayStation's looking at this like, where's our place in this? I think because we, as of right now, I mean, Microsoft's still probably going to put it on PlayStation, but like they just completely got excluded out of all this, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're really irrelevant to
I think
all the
Pong made the point.
deals.
I was talking to Pong about it because I was like, do people realize that like PlayStation is no longer a part of the conversation in the way where they don't have to abide to PlayStation. Like they don't have to be like, okay, Call of Duty must go on PlayStation. Initially, the deal was for those 10 years, what they offered to PlayStation, Microsoft was saying, hey, we are going to offer you guys Call of Duty for 10 years, and also you can put it on PS Plus, et cetera, right? That was pretty much what was in the contracts. Sony said no. And because they wanted to basically block the deal. But now they don't have anything. So they're still going to put it on PlayStation, but they're not obligated to do that.
Yeah,
The only
they're not obligated to
regulation-
whatsoever.
Yeah, which is interesting. They even said the EU in one of their statements was like, even in the case that they do take off Call of Duty off of a PlayStation, it will not harm the market.
Unless they
So-
see that PlayStation is a competing cloud gaming platform. If they see
Well, that's what
that,
I'm saying. Like, I
yeah.
guess it could still go.
So here's the I
Yeah.
have Brad Smith's tweet again. He says the European Commission has required Microsoft to license popular Activision Blizzard games automatically to competing cloud gaming services. This will apply globally. This is my point to where the UK is kind of irrelevant with having to regulate this, right? This will apply globally and will empower millions of consumers worldwide to play these games on any device they choose. So, like, I don't know what the term automatically is the interesting one. Like, I think they, as long as the platforms allow it, they have to put their games on there, pretty much.
Yeah, for free, from what I believe. So I don't think Microsoft can be like, all right, you can have Call of Duty on your service, but you got to pay.
But they still offer those, like, they still have to
$1 million
pay, right? Like, it's
licensing
similar to like when you put a game on PlayStation, you have to pay a certain like licensing fee. Like, I'm sure there's some licensing deals still there that Microsoft's not going to just give. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and the way the
go
cloud
ahead.
gaming works, though, is different than the way that the regular storefronts work, right? Because if somebody buys the game in a cloud service or any microtransactions and stuff, in a way that I saw the way that I read the deal before when the CMA blocked it was that like Microsoft makes all the money, right, from those. You know what I mean?
You know, you still have to like make your game. Like, there's still a lot of back end work on Microsoft's part to optimize that game for that specific cloud service. So there has to be some licensing fee there. Like, I don't like, unless that Microsoft makes something on the back end where they make it easy for these cloud services to just work pretty well on that cloud platform. They still have to do some back end work to make sure Activision games work properly on another cloud streaming service. So there has to be some money at least happening there.
Unless they just put Game Pass on, and then that's
Yeah, I guess
Game Pass on there. Then
but they're not going to put Game Pass on PlayStation. That's what
Well,
I'm saying.
no.
Like,
Well, it's up to the cloud provider to have like a better service than Microsoft. Like, if they gave it to like Nvidia, Call of Duty is going to be running on their 40 series cards right now. PlayStation, it would be running on whatever PlayStation infrastructure that they have set up. So Xbox has the Series X blades in their servers. So it would be what is up to whatever cloud provider runs off of for how well the game runs and
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
And how good, I guess how good the overall connection quality is to the servers.
That's
as well.
up to the provider.
And how good the latency is.
Microsoft just gives them a Call of Duty key so they can host the game.
So Cheo Walker says
Okay.
no licensing fee, but 100% of the money from microtransactions. Okay. Yeah, I don't really like the cloud market's a little different, right? So it's interesting the way it works. It's different than like PlayStation making 30% off of Minecraft or whatever the deal they have. You know what I mean? Like,
and PlayStation won't be for that. You know that. They want that cut. That's so for them, if Microsoft has language where they keep all the profit, then that's why I think possibly where Sony's like, I'm not signing that. We can't fund our first party games if we don't get a cut into that revenue. So
they already made a deal.
The other thing that was part of this is he used the word popular. So where does that, is there like a certain amount of players that have to be in a user base for it to be deemed popular? Or is that just a term where he's saying popular as in ABK games are popular? You know, I don't know, like, because if they launch a new IP, is that considered popular?
Even if they launch like a remake of Spyro or something again, like it's like a popular name in like gaming, but it's like it can't have as many players as Call of Duty. So
right.
like,
so there's verbiage here, and you know Brad Smith's a lawyer too, right? So like, and this has to be vetted, you know. So like, I'm curious the specific wordage and stuff, and I'd have to read through it. I'm not reading the whole fucking EU stuff. Like I should. I'll leave that to like the lawyer experts and legal experts and stuff. But like, just reading what he said here, the European Commission has required. So it means it's a concession that's going to be bound by the agreement to close the deal in the EU, right?
I'm sure they have a definition of what that means, but it's just whatever they come to.
And then Microsoft to license popular Activision Blizzard games automatically to competing cloud gaming services. This will apply globally and will empower millions of consumers worldwide to play these games on any device they choose. The chat's saying there's no licensing fees. but like they get all the money from the microtransactions. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting market. It's different, you know. So I do all these services have subscription fees?
Nvidia does. So you got to have the sub fee for Nvidia, and then Game Pass.
And then like it's going to be on the Switch or Nintendo Switch 2, whatever it's going to be called. So they have their own cloud service too that is inside of the Nintendo
There
thing,
may
right?
be, I think there was like one cloud thing back in the day where you could like stream a PC desktop, but you got like it free for like an hour, and then after the hour you'd have to pay. So there may be little stuff like that, but all of them you're gonna have to pay for.
Or maybe in Nintendo you don't need a subscription. I think you just buy the game through and then play it through the cloud, right? I don't think you need it.
I
For
think
Nvidia?
he's saying Nintendo.
No, Nintendo.
I think you need a subscription for Nintendo to access online features.
Yeah, you got to. It's $5.
Okay,
a year. What is it? $15 a year or something?
Who the hell knows
ridiculous.
What Nintendo
It's like, no, it's like stupid low because it's really it's so bare bones, the online service that they have. They don't offer as much as like Xbox or PlayStation with their online service. So I think it's just the access. So it's like, I want to say $15 a year. I think I could be mistaken, and most of the time I am. So I'm gonna look that up.
So Cheo Walker said, shout out to him too. He said, shit, I lost it. The EU statement says all past and future games. I'm trying to look at for the exact EU statements again. I'm sure, like, was it on their website? Because I saw it today, and I read through the tweets that included everything, but I didn't sit there and read through the whole thing. Let's see. I know that
statement
more interesting today was all of the salt on Twitter from people, you know, saying like, "What's going on? This can't happen."
A lot of salt. I mean, people referred back to the FTC. They're like, the FTC is still going to block it. Right now, the biggest hurdle is not the FTC. It is literally the CMA, the appeal process, which I don't think has happened yet, as far as I know. When Microsoft appeals to CAT, to essentially say like, hey, the CMA has overstepped its bounds. Here is the evidence of that. It's been approved in 37 other countries. UK, the CMA is the outlier. Here is the evidence of that. And if that goes through, they can either overrule the CMA's decision where they are not involved, or the CAT can send it back to the CMA like, look, you got some of this stuff wrong. Make a decision again, and then they could deny it again. I don't know if it can go back to CAT after that. Not sure how that works. But I guess we'll see. But the CMA is essentially the biggest hurdle. Where I don't know, maybe you guys can jump in on this, is after EU, it's approved. There are certain things that was written in contract with Activision Blizzard and Microsoft. Now, so I see some people are saying like they could pull out of the UK. It's only 5,000 people, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as I know, there are concessions to the Activision Blizzard deal to passing. It needed to pass in certain places. It needed to pass in the UK, it needs to pass here in America, and then et cetera, et cetera. I think that those are the major two places, right? The other places are kind of just extra. What I don't know is with the CMA, if CMA and the CAT process doesn't go through, but it did pass in the EU, if they could just be like, we're pulling out of the UK. I don't think they can. According to the conditions that was met with Activision Blizzard,
they would have to renegotiate. They would have to renegotiate that contract.
The deal itself,
right?
Yeah.
And
they would have to renegotiate that deal.
But they can do it. They just have to renegotiate that part. Like, and here's the thing: it's like, what would be involved with that, right? I do have the whoa, hey, shout out to RazorNZ who joined the channel, became a speculator, as well as gifted 5 Fun Speculation memberships. Appreciate you, Razor. That's absolutely awesome, man. Congrats to anybody who got one of those gifteds there as well. Enjoy your emojis. So this is what the an EU official said. Okay, we had a concern about cloud gaming, which is very nascent right now, but it will grow. We were given a remedy, so a 10-year license for free for existing and coming games now to be made available. So we think this is not only sort of solving a problem, but it is also pro-competitive. And that for us is a good thing. And then for Bobby Kotick said that the company, which was founded in France, has deep roots in Europe. He said that we intend to meaningfully expand our investment in workforce throughout the EU, and we're excited for the benefits our transaction brings to players in Europe and around the world. Then, the UK did their whole tweet storm. So, this is one of the big 3 that they needed approval for. FTC is going to end up getting, the FTC is not going to approve it, but they're going to be relevant to the whole thing, right? And then the CMA is the last thing. So if the CMA doesn't turn around and the CMA doesn't come to grips on reality, or they don't get enough pressure from the UK government or change their decision or allow these remedies now that the EU has or whatever, then at that point it's like, what is the solution for Microsoft, right? Because
I think though, if they renegotiate, they also have to do the whole price thing again for Activision Blizzard, so it could end up costing them a lot more money now that their stocks went up.
they could, ABK could say that, we want more.
Yeah.
Right, potentially.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's
for this being drug out
things.
and for the loss that we're going to have without those benefits in the UK as well. So
what I don't know is what are the rules and regulations, like if they pull out of the UK, let's say they do pull out the UK, Microsoft still has businesses, like Xbox has businesses in UK, like Playground Games, for example, is in the UK. Would that affect those businesses, or would it just affect the ABK deal? Like only ABK games can't necessarily work in the UK, but other businesses are not affected. That's what I don't know. Maybe someone can.
this is something that Michael Pachter's been on about for a long time now. He was thinking this would be a possibility before anybody else did. We have people say Pachter's always wrong. Pachter's always wrong, right? But when he said this a long time ago, his solution originally would be potentially Microsoft cutting ties with some form of this deal, or creating another company or whatever, finding another workaround there in the UK, right? So, I don't know if he knows everything either, but like the thing is that when you're a $1 trillion company, and you have this much, what you feel like is a huge investment for the future of your company, and you have one regulator and that's blocking it because of a small, tiny aspect of the entire market, then my thought process is like, you spend the money and figure out solutions around that problem instead of just being like, okay, well, we fucking tried.
Yeah, you have 1% of the world that's not
70
saying
billion.
1% of the world saying no, you can't operate here. While the others like, we can just go get 99% of the money everywhere else. It's like,
and that's the thing. Now, if it was the EU and the EC as well, then it's like, okay, this is a harder problem to solve, and are we going to be able to solve it, right? And for me, what's probably happening and what has been happening, this had to have been happening for a while, I would think, is Microsoft and Activision Blizzard and the executives and lawyers and all these people are sitting around coming up with strategies, coming up with solutions, and coming up with scenarios. And what do we do in these different scenarios? Well, now we're to the scenario where the EC has approved the deal. And they still need some answers with what's going to happen with the appeals process, what's going to happen with, the government and putting pressure on the CMA and stuff like that. So within that, it's like, well, what are those scenarios and how are they going to unfold and what do we need to do? And I feel like we're not to that point yet to where we know how Microsoft's going to react because we don't have all the answers yet from the CMA, right? At some point, we're going to get to there, and we'll either have a solution that is announced between Microsoft and the CMA and the government, or there will be a solution that Microsoft announces and find a way around this thing. You know what I mean?
We've seen them double down, so now it leads me to believe that they are really going to rely on CAT, the appeal process, to be like, okay, we talked with CAT and we are going to let this deal go through. I see that scenario possibly happening, especially with the Prime Minister making his statements and et cetera, et cetera. These other regulatory bodies approving the deal, and they are not. The one scenario I could see happening is CAT goes and be like overrules the CMA's decision, like we're passing this, or they'll send it back. And if they send it back, then Microsoft and CMA has to have a talk with each other.
I don't think this. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't think the CAT can just overrule them and approve it. I don't know, but like
I thought so.
For what I saw is they can find procedural issues and then send it back to the CMA and say you did this wrong. This is an issue.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
like double check your homework.
And then the only scenario where like the CAT can like overrule them is like a rare situation that may have happened before regarding one specific instance, like where there's like a certain type of situation that the CMA is doing something that's not beneficial or something like that. I can't recall the exact language.
Said I just looked it up. See, this is a false article. He said the CMA got overruled by the Competition Appeal Tribunal last month for blatantly disregarding certain statutory time limits in a case involving Apple. So it recently happened with Apple. CAT basically stepped in and were like, we're overruling your decision with the CMA. So yeah, they can, as far as this article is concerned.
Yeah, I remember that. So that was a certain situation. I think it has to do with certain aspects that happen within the deal. Like, I don't know, like, if that's the case in like every deal, if they can do that or not. But I remember that tweet that Foss Tweets had made about that, and he's pretty knowledgeable on this stuff. So I mean, I guess it's possible, but I wouldn't count on it.
It's a low. I know it was a really low percentage, but I do think this could be an outlier just based on sort of the backing that Microsoft has, it being approved in other places, CMA having those errors. So I forgot what the percentage was for CAT actually overruling CMA decisions. It was pretty low from what I remember, but it recently did just happen with Apple, so it could happen here as well.
This could be one of those situations. You're right.
I mean, like, I don't know if this is a possibility, but like, could Microsoft just shut down all of Activision Blizzard in the UK and just like move it to Ireland? Like,
that's an interesting thing. Well, here, you say that, but like, and it sounds crazy, but like, really, the UK, it's a significant market, right?
Yeah.
But
because once they shut down Activision Blizzard, they would have no say because Activision Blizzard doesn't operate there.
But that would put so much pressure on the CMA and the UK government, because how many Call of Duty fans will be like, man, our government screwed us, man. Or not our government, but our regulatory body. We can't even play COD no more because these bastards don't want to let me play my COD. Interesting, man. I don't know. I don't know if that would happen. That would be an extreme situation, but I mean, who knows, man? How much do they want this to go through? Fuzzy, I don't know if you're familiar with the recourses here, like within the CMA, but like, what do you think they're probably discussing these, or have been discussing these scenarios and have multiple paths to choose from depending on what happens?
as far as Microsoft, yeah, you bet your bottom dollar they are. They're looking at this from top to bottom on, okay, what if this happens, and who do we need to talk to? Are they willing to come back to the table? Will this deal that the EU just passed, will that carry over? And it looks like, based on the tweet, on the surface, it looks like it may not, but between the cat tribunal type deal and the prime minister talking about meetings and reviews and stuff and possibly reducing the power of the CMA, I think they're going to start with the cat. That's going to be the first thing, depending on how that goes. And then I think they move to plan B, C, or D, with like D being the nuclear option, kind of like what Jasper was just saying. It's like I can totally see them closing whatever is not approved or removing that from that region and moving on. And I think because they looked at it as just being the cloud aspect and it being a smaller window or smaller market of cloud users in that region, I think that's the first to go. That would be the sacrificial lamb. And then any of those users that may feel a certain way from that closing would have to voice their concerns to their regulatory bodies. I think that's definitely on the table, but I think they're relying more so on cat, kind of like what Reboot was saying. There's that possibility, much like with Apple, that there can be a overturn without even having to get the prime minister involved. But it definitely looks like the prime minister wants to do business. Cat tribunal being more of a court system similar to our court system, so I have a feeling they're going to probably look at some of the data or the facts per se and see that this doesn't really add up, especially when you have so many other regions that they're surrounded by that approve it. Now, the whole Brexit thing is why they're separate to begin with, so we'll see if any of those loyalists or whatever still are involved in that
Honestly,
tribunal.
though,
But
this might be a good thing, because Britain would have had a voice in the EU at that point. They could have had maybe a blocking vote when they went there. So like this deal could have been ended today if they were still part of the EU and not Brexit.
Even with their vote to block, I think the overall, unless they can influence, I think it's almost here with a majority.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of those smaller European countries are going to look up to Britain as their votes. They'll be like, oh, Britain's voting yes, block it. So they'll be like, well, we should follow them. So like,
it's possible, but I think Germany,
I mean, that's just like a
Spain,
what if,
and I forget what other ones. Those are probably in France and all. I think those are probably the bigger ones that would have been like, UK, you must be drunk. Go sit down, type of thing.
Yeah.
And because I honestly, the message now from the business standpoint is, the EU is open for business while the UK is not. Inflation's 10% or higher. They're going through kind of a recession. It's, if you're potentially looking to bring your company or your business to that region versus somewhere else in the EU.
The day after it got blocked and Microsoft said no tech sector is going to want to come to the UK, whatever, Microsoft put like $10 million in the AI company in Britain.
Yeah. I mean, they put it into an ad company about that campaign, but
no, I said AI. They like invested in some AI company.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So
well, AI is that new market that Microsoft is going to go back to their 90s standpoint on. They're going to aggressively attack that market no matter what, and dare a regulator get in the way, kind of thing. But I think the CMA at this point, I think we find out between now and August how far this rabbit hole travels, kind of thing. I think it winds up getting revisited. They probably not going to negotiate. It'll probably get a send back to the CMA from the cat. And I think it'll just come down to, if the prime minister isn't going to grab his cojones and try and do an overturn from his power standpoint, then I think it's just a matter of Microsoft closes at least the cloud end of things. At least cloud end of things for gaming, not cloud things for Office 365 or any of that stuff. But anybody that's using xCloud in the UK, sorry for you at this point, due to your regulators.
Yeah. And someone brought up a point, Nate Dogg. He was replying to Jago. He was saying Microsoft will have to pull their whole business out of the UK. That's what I mentioned earlier. I don't know how true that is. If it is true, that's what I was saying. It would affect businesses. There are a couple of studios in the UK from Microsoft. Playground Games is in the UK. And there's a couple other, there's like one other
Rare.
studio. Ninja Theory, isn't Ninja Theory
Yeah.
also in the UK? So they can't just
Obsidian
say
as
like
well.
Rare.
Would they have to
saying-
close down the studios that are located there, or would they just not be allowed to sell their
they
products
can't
there?
operate. I think that's what you're saying. They can't operate in the UK if they.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's
what I
no.
don't
There's
know.
no guarantee to that. I mean, like, we don't know.
That's
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I was saying, like,
what I
at the end of the day, like, if it them buying Activision Blizzard, since Activision Blizzard has stuff there in the UK, like, they could just Activision could just shut down all their Activision stuff in the UK and be like,
That's what I'm saying. I
see,
don't
we
know
don't
if
operate in
it's
the UK anymore, so
ABK
we don't need your approval.
right.
I don't
I
know if it's
think-
ABK specific or they're
Yeah.
fine. Like, look, I don't know how that works.
To my understanding, they would have fines or penalties. So let's say they take it as a slap in the face that they close the cloud stuff. I think the other businesses will still be allowed to operate. It's just a matter that there would be some sort of fine or penalty, which would, based on their maximum, would be less than the 3 billion that they'd have to pay Activision.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it better for Microsoft just take the fine and be like, that's chump change?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's on the table as well, because that's been looked at, and since it's less than what the fine is for Activision, that's why, at least on the surface, everybody at Activision is like, oh yeah, we're still confident that we're going to work this through, because they know even if they get hit with the penalties on the back end, it's
They'll
like you
make
said,
it back
chump
in
change
2
compared
years
to-
with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JD Gamer hit us with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you. It says, there's a simple question to ask. Is it cheaper for Microsoft to move King from the UK and operate only the console there, which the CMA approved? I say yes. I don't know. That's a great question. And I feel like these are scenarios that Microsoft's probably looked at, or maybe they're some of them out of the question. I remember them saying they don't see a feasible way of doing this deal and basically extrapolate or removing Activision Blizzard or whatever, you know what I mean, and selling them off or anything like that, right? So, but in that situation, if you're talking about just leaving a market, I don't think they ever said there was no way to like forward for them to do the deal without the UK. You know what I mean? So like, it's interesting. I feel like there's a lot of weight that Microsoft holds here. I do know one thing. There's a lot of people on social media and on Twitter be like, doesn't matter. CMA blocked it. It's over. Doesn't matter what the EC says. That's not true. Like, yes, the CMA did block it, but this, if anything, has empowered Microsoft more to keep going and figure out solutions and try and get this deal done. Without the EC's approval, it would have been a different scenario. We'd be talking about, well, that was, it was a nice try. It is what it is. Now it's open game. We've talked about this scenario after the CMA block and said that it was going to be very interesting if the EC approves, right? Because that's going to give them what they need to keep going, and I feel like they're going to find a path forward in this. My confidence is really high one way or another that this deal ends up getting closed now.
Yeah. And how's it going to look to the rest of the world that one regulatory body is really like the outlier?
Well, nobody should have that much power and not really even have any good recourse against themselves either. You know what I mean? I feel
also,
like
they shouldn't look at that mindset. They should be looking at their own country, not what other countries are saying. So, but they're not doing that.
Yeah, that's a big problem because it's like they're puffing their chests or something. That's the way it feels. The CMA is trying to impose their will on the business world very heavily.
I think they did had a discussion with the FTC, because that, if having the CMA block the deal gives the FTC something to block the deal as well. Now with the EC approving it, there's no case with the FTC at all. Like they can't be like, well, the CMA blocked, so it has to be bad for competition and whatever other bullshit they're
They're
trying
gonna
to
use
drum up.
one person.
Yeah.
One,
So now
yeah.
that with the EC passing, now they're like, what do you if they take them to court? What case does the fucking FTC have? Well, I know the CEC where the C passed it, but the CMA they blocked it. But with what the EC
I mean, the
with
FTC court
remedies,
isn't going to look at whatever CMA or
Yeah,
EU.
they're just gonna look at American.
Yeah, they're going to look at the
Correct.
FTC's decision and be like, "Your decision is based off nothing, so fuck you," and it's passed.
correct.
Yeah.
But with how Lena,
Lena Khan, yeah.
That dumb bitch. I think she should be ignorant enough to be bringing it up in court, and if she is there, or make a case that, well, other regulatory bodies have blocked it, so we feel the same with their stature. But I think that I don't think it will get to that point, because if they do find collusion, I think they'll figure it out. And if this comes if they see this on the docket, they'll be, oh, this is the ABK, approve it. It goes through, green light, no concessions, good to go. Microsoft, have a nice day. And then they'll just have to deal with whatever the CMA says. If the CMA says, well, we're still going to block it, then that's the next step. But I think globally, they just go through it. And I feel bad for the UK gamers, because
Yeah, at the end of the day, it affects no one but the UK.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's gonna
That does suck though.
yeah, it's gonna suck for them, because they're not gonna be able to play any of the ABK. That's Activision Blizzard King. So they can't play WoW, they can't play Diablo 4, they can't play Call of Duty, and it just really sucks, because
Well, maybe they're just not in the cloud.
well, if that's
Maybe they just shut
if
down.
it's
Maybe
that-
they just shut down the cloud there. Like,
Or
that's
they
allowed.
never get a new
No.
game. They can only continue
They-
playing the old stuff. They just can never put out a new game.
oh, that would
It would be everything, I would think. If they pull out, then it's everything.
Well, but their challenge is only based on the cloud.
yeah, but it doesn't matter. They would see it as like you're stepping over.
But if you don't have your cloud
Everything.
service there, how can they make an argument that it affects the UK consumers? You know what I mean?
because they're like it was blocked and you're still operating here in the UK.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they could potentially just remove the cloud service from the UK, because that's the only thing in there that they're really challenging. You know, there was something to do with like operating system as well, but like that still relegates to the same thing as well. You know, so if they shut down the cloud, you know, then the console market they had no issue with, right? They even said that in their thing. So I don't know. That's the question. Like, what does Microsoft go for here? We'll wait and find out, because I'll tell you one thing: we're gonna find out where they go from here now. You know, whereas beforehand we might not have. So that's going to be interesting to see. JD Gamer hit us with another $5 super chat. Appreciate you. It says, when the FTC loses their silly suit, Microsoft will close over the CMA, isolating players there, and eventually becoming their own undoing. They will be replaced. Talking about the CMA, it could very well happen that if the UK consumers and the media turn against the CMA and there's enough outcry, then who knows? Also, JD Gamer at the $5 super chat says the CMA thinks this is the 90s and that everyone hates Microsoft but uses them, and that's not the case. They will become the instrument of their own demise. And then another $5 super chat from JD Gamer says, to tell a starving country, I'm not going to feed you because of a law, and they will make a new law. Their economy is not good, and the people want this. Yeah, I do think the UK consumer wants this. And I think we're going to find that out, especially if one of those scenarios actually comes to fruition.
Microsoft's just
Call up
Microsoft
soon
just starts
when they
selling
go.
a VPN, and you can connect to the cloud somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there'll
Yeah.
probably be ways of UK consumers still accessing this stuff with VPNs and stuff like that, right? Like it's gonna be interesting, right? And here's the thing too, like what happens to, let's say they do pull out, right, of the UK, and they still put their games and all these other cloud services, right? Some of those cloud services still operate in the UK and would still have potentially ABK games on them, unless they're not allowed at that time to put ABK games in the cloud service for the UK consumers. So it's like there's interesting stuff here, all at play, and I think Microsoft has the upper hand on this deal at the end of the day, because if you look at leverage, right, like who has more leverage really?
The government.
You think so? You think UK has more leverage against
Because they can just
Microsoft?
tell you no
CMA
and give you no reason.
Yeah, but if you're Microsoft, you could just pull out of the ABK, and how does that? How much of leverage does Microsoft have with say, okay, we're just no longer
Well,
going to do
if
business in the UK? You know what I mean? Like,
If
you know how
it's
much money
ongoing,
and
then-
jobs and stuff that cost the UK.
Then
and
your
their
question is,
economy?
does the government really care about the people?
Right.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Who has more leverage, right? Like, but it's just an interesting thing, and I think we're going to find this stuff out. There is the UK government is seemingly kind of opposed to the CMA's decision right now on this thing, based on statements. So
in the UK Prime Minister,
it's going to
yeah.
be interesting to see how that plays into all this as well. So
When
I do agree with
someone
this.
said-
OCD Gamer says, if it falls through, blame 3-bit. I agree with that 100%.
It wasn't me. Someone said it might be ongoing fines. I forgot who said that. So I don't know. It's a tricky one. That's why I really do think the cat will overrule this, just based on the evidence that is there, the mistakes that they have made, the fact that they're blocking over 1% of the market. I think cat is going to look at this, because I think they said the cat will only overrule if they've seen clear errors from the CMA to basically either overrule their decision and bypass the CMA. And then someone else said in chat that they could that the CMA actually have sued cat in the past for overruling their decision. I guess that's possible. So the cat can either overrule or they send it back to the CMA. I would rather them not send it back to the CMA, because it seems like the CMA, it got that Lena Khan-ness going on with the company. So we'll see. But I think they still haven't appealed yet. Microsoft hasn't appealed yet, but they're gathering evidence, I guess, to appeal.
It's a process, right? Like,
It's a process.
JD Gamer hit us with another $5 super chat, hitting us with those fives. Appreciate it, man. Says $3 billion. Say it again. $3 billion is the breakup fee. They'll move those freaking offices from the UK so fast. Say it again. $5 billion. I don't know. I don't know what the solutions are, but
Well, we could always do the Xbox Ultimate solution. And
yeah, go fight the CMA.
Viva la
Fight the
Revolution!
CMA. Oh. We'll have another tea party up in this bitch. We won our Call of Duty. It's going to be interesting to see the recourse or the effects that the media has in the UK. I saw Jez talking a lot about this, because it becomes like a popularity contest or a thought process or mind share argument again, like how much the media plays into effect in the UK over like pressure to the government, right, and pressure to them to get this overturned may play a factor. Like, which side will the majority of the media take there is kind of his point. Victor Alstein with a $2 super chat says CMA will be facing UK Parliament tomorrow. Yeah, and it's unclear 100% if this is gonna be brought up. I bet it will be, right? Because it's very, it's not what it's about, but it's involves this in a way because like it's involving regulatory processes for big tech and all that kind of stuff, I believe. So, this is the current thing that just happened, right? I believe it will probably be brought up, just like when Lena Khan went before the government and asked for more money that she can flush down the toilet. She was there asking for more money, begging more money, please. We need to make more ridiculous arguments. Come on,
probably not going to
come
go
on,
through
give us some more money. But she was there, and she got questioned about ABK, right? She got questioned about PlayStation, and she got questioned about PlayStation's dominant market share in Japan, and and all these kind of things, and it's interesting that she's become like a center focus here when she has the least ground to stand on, right? But I would imagine,
or does she have the most ground to stand on because she's also a part British citizen, so she can just go over there too,
right? I feel like there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening now. It's going to be way more interesting now than it was going to be if this got blocked, and that's bottom line. I saw that Tom Toonami, shout out to Tom. He said, again, the government would never let Microsoft leave because Microsoft is too entwined in the UK government and everyday services. If the CMA says get out, the government will pass it over the CMA. Right? So if Microsoft's like, okay, well, we can't do business in the UK, bye. The government's like, don't leave. We need you. Everything runs on your shit. What are we gonna fucking do? We don't know how to use Apple. Hey, does anybody even own a fucking iMac in here? Was a fucking iMac? Is it an AirPod? Or what are we on? What are we on now? Does anybody even use these things?
Don't worry, I'm sure your Chinese buddies will back you up with some cheap devices there.
And Victor Austin, he did a super chat as well.
Yeah, I read that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Thanks, 3-Bit.
Parliament.
Thanks for listening.
Sorry.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have the whole. It's really not that long, to be honest. From the European Commission here. So, the European Commission has approved under the EU merger regulation the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. The approval is conditional on full compliance with the commitments offered by Microsoft. The commitments fully address the competition concerns identified by the Commission and represent a significant improvement for cloud gaming as compared to the current situation. Today's decision follows. Yeah, that's another thing. Wouldn't it be better to have those regulations in place than not? Even if you're the CMA? I would think so. If you're trying to protect this market, isn't it better to have those concessions? Just saying. Today's decision follows an in-depth investigation of the proposed acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. As always, the Commission has based its decision on hard evidence and on extensive information and feedback from competitors and customers, including from game developers and distributors, as well as cloud game streaming platforms in the EU.
Then who the fuck did they ask?
I don't know. The Commission's investigation. Today's decision follows an in-depth investigation of the proposed acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. Both companies develop and publish games for PCs, consoles, and mobile devices and distribute games for PCs. Microsoft also distributes games for consoles and offers the Xbox console along with a wide range of products and services, including the PC operating system Windows. Activision Games' portfolio includes world-famous franchises such as Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and Diablo. The Commission's preliminary investigation found that Microsoft could harm competition in the distribution of console and PC video games, including multi-game subscription services and cloud game streaming services, and in the supply of PC operating systems. The Commission's in-depth market investigation indicated that Microsoft would not be able to harm rival consoles and rival multi-game subscription services. At the same time, it confirmed that Microsoft could harm competition in the distribution of cloud of games via cloud game streaming services, and that its position in the market for PC operating systems would be strengthened. In particular, the commission found that Microsoft would have no incentive to refuse to distribute Activision games to Sony, which is a leading distributor of console games worldwide, including in the European Economic Area, where there are 4 Sony PlayStation consoles for every Microsoft Xbox console bought by gamers. Indeed, Microsoft would have strong incentives to continue distributing Activision's games via device as popular as Sony's PlayStation. Even if Microsoft did decide to withdraw Activision games from the PlayStation, this would not significantly harm competition in the consoles market. Even if Call of Duty is largely played on console, it is less popular in the European Economic Area than in other regions of the world, and is less popular in the EEA within its genre compared to other markets. Therefore, even without being able to offer the specific game, Sony can leverage its size, extensive games catalog, and market position to fend off any attempt to weaken its competitive position. Basically shitting all over Sony's arguments. I love it. Even without this transaction, Activision would not have made its games available for multi-game subscription services, as this would cannibalize sales of individual games. Therefore, the situation for third-party providers of multi-game subscription services would not change after the acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. The acquisition would harm competition in the distribution of PC and console games via cloud game streaming services, an innovative market segment that could transform the way many gamers play video games. Despite its potential, cloud game streaming is very limited today. The commission found that the popularity of Activision's games could promote its growth. Instead, if Microsoft made Activision's games exclusive to its own cloud game streaming service, Game Pass Ultimate, and withheld them from rival cloud gaming streaming providers, it would reduce competition in this distribution of games via cloud game streaming. If Microsoft made Activision's games exclusive to its own cloud game streaming service, Microsoft could also strengthen the position of Windows in the market for PC operating systems. This could be the case should Microsoft hinder or degrade the streaming of Activision's games on PCs using operating systems other than Windows. Now we get to the proposed remedies to address the competition concerns identified by the Commission in the market for the distribution of PC and console games via the cloud game streaming services. Microsoft offered the following comprehensive licensing commitments with a 10-year duration. A free license to consumers in the EEA that would allow them to stream via any cloud gaming streaming services of their choice all current and future Activision Blizzard PC and console games for which they have a license. A corresponding free license to cloud game streaming service providers to allow EEA-based gamers to stream any Activision Blizzard PC and console game. So the remedy to here sounds like if they bought a Call of Duty game, they can get a free license to stream it on whatever platform they want.
Just crazy. If
That's what
the
it sounds like, because read this again. It says a free license to consumers in the EEA that would allow them to stream via any cloud gaming streaming services of their choice all current and future Activision Blizzard PC and console games for which they have a license.
The user?
That's what it sounds like.
Because that's how it kind of already works.
Because this is discussing the consumers, right?
Yeah. So
basically, what it's saying is like Microsoft will give the consumer a license for any game that they have a license to already, or get a license.
You just have to buy Call of Duty, but your account carries over. So like, yeah, it's just adding Xbox Play Anywhere to the game, pretty much.
Yeah, and then a corresponding free license to cloud game streaming service providers. This is we're discussing providers now. To allow EEA-based gamers to stream any Activision Blizzard PC and console games. So they're giving the license to the providers for free for the ABK games, and they're also giving a free license to the consumers if they own the rights to play the game. So that's a fucking huge win for like for EU EU consumers and EC consumers. Why would the
even
UK?
globally.
Why would the UK not want that? I mean, that's a global. That's a well. They're discussing EEA, which is in this regard, they're talking about economic or European Economic Area or whatever. So this is relegated. That aspect of the remedy is relegated to
just
them, right? But then Brad Smith says globally. So I don't know. Like that's interesting. Today, Activision Blizzard does not license its games to cloud game streaming services, nor does it stream the games itself. These licenses will ensure that gamers that have purchased one or more Activision games on a PC or console store, or that have subscribed to a multi-game subscription service that includes Activision games, have the right to stream those games with any cloud game streaming services of their choice and play them on any device using any operating system.
Yeah, it's just Xbox Play Anywhere, and then you can choose wherever you want to play it.
Yeah, you can choose whatever service. It's like, yeah, that's fucking badass.
So if like
Full
one service is
entitlement.
shitty in your country, you can just go with another option.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing. Like,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
like,
good.
they say, hey, buy the game one place, you can play it any of these fucking places, and we'll even give the rights to the providers for the game that letting them, and then you have the corresponding license for the game. It says the remedies also ensure that Activision's games available for streaming will have the same quality and content as games available for traditional download. Says these commitments fully, I would say so. I mean, that's like above and beyond there. That's pretty crazy. These commitments fully address the competition concerns identified by the commission and represent a significant improvement for cloud game streaming compared to the current situation. They will empower millions of EEA consumers to stream Activision's games using any cloud gaming services operating in the EEA. So this is like, if a cloud service operates in the European Economic Area, that encompasses that. So provided they are purchased in an online store or included in an active multi-game subscription in the EEA. In addition, so you have to purchase it in Europe.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I'm gonna start buying my games in fucking Europe, I guess. It's like use my VPN to log into Poland or some shit.
I'm sure that's going to cost you a lot more money.
Yeah.
Conversion
Well,
on the
if
currency
Brad
and then
Smith
buying
is-
it there.
Yeah, if Brad Smith is saying it's global, then that we would get the same dual entitlement
Yeah.
stuff here. I think the
Yeah.
thing that's amazing about this whole deal, I mean, we already have it now where you could buy something on the Xbox console and play it on PC, or buy it on PC and play it on the console. Because I've even done that with like some of the first party stuff like Flight Sim I bought on PC and automatically owned it on console when it finally came to console. But the way that sounds, you could actually buy Call of Duty on PlayStation and stream it on xCloud, or vice versa, buy it on Xbox. And if Sony was willing, you would be able to stream it whenever they have their own, cloud streaming service outside of their subscription stuff. So yeah, it makes no sense for UK to be sticks in the mud on this thing.
Yeah, this is crazy. Reading this now on the website is
I
like way
guess
above what I thought.
The only negative to that is if like Xbox sells the game for like $30 and then it's just going to hurt PlayStation users because they'll have to pay $70 for it. Like that's where the complaint would be, is where Xbox could control that market and be like, it's $1 on our store, so why not just come over here?
Well, they ain't concerned about PlayStation, so
Yeah, I think as long as they're the same price at launch kind of thing, I think there wouldn't be any deal or any issue. I mean, when it comes time for sales, like when they say publisher sale, like in any of the stores that are out there, then that's that free market stuff that they can't really step in on. I mean, yeah, Microsoft can eat or absorb a lot of the costs, but I think the only thing that makes sense for the UK in this regard, that why they would want to block it, is possibly kind of like what you're hinting to with the different pricing, if they're trying to collect taxes on this stuff. So any of the tax-based related stuff, with that free license setup, we can't collect any, taxes on the fees or the service fees or licensing fees and stuff, which, I mean, if they're worried about that on gaming, then that's their own problem. But
so I'll keep going. It says, in addition, the availability of Activision's popular games for streaming Again, the word popular. Interesting. Unless that's just what they talking about. Hey, the games are popular. I don't know. For streaming via all cloud gaming streaming services will boost the development of this dynamic technology in the EEA. Ultimately, the commitments will unlock significant benefits for competition and consumers by bringing Activision's games to new platforms, including smaller EU players, and to more devices than before. The commission carefully investigated the effectiveness of the remedies, collecting views from a large number of market participants and stakeholders. In particular, cloud game streaming providers gave positive feedback and showed interest in the licenses. Some of these providers have already entered into bilateral agreements with Microsoft based on the proposed licenses to stream Activision's games once the transaction is completed. Taking into consideration the feedback of the market, the commission concluded that the proposed acquisition, as modified by the commitments, would no longer raise competition concerns and would ultimately unlock significant benefits for competition and consumers. The commission's decision is conditional upon full compliance with the commitments. Under supervision of the commission, an independent trustee will be in charge of monitoring the implementation.
I know that Destiny it's free to play, but if you buy the DLC on like Steam or something, you can only play that DLC if you play on Steam because the DLC is licensed to whatever platform you're on. So like they're gonna have to figure out a way to where like I guess in-game content or side content can transfer between platforms.
Yeah.
I mean that could just be a Destiny problem. Like maybe with Xbox Play Anywhere it's not that big of an issue, but
I mean, this really does. This is Xbox Play Anywhere, but you play in whatever cloud service you want.
Yeah,
right. And that's exactly. You gave a great description with that, and it feels like, I mean, to be honest, like you're probably not going to flip flop between different cloud services. You're probably just going to
find the one that works best.
The one what works best for you. But that's great. Like if you already have a library of games or whatever, like especially those games, like that means Game Pass. It's a subscription service, right? So it means like if you have Game Pass, that you can play the Game Pass games and fucking GeForce Now or whatever.
They make you buy it before you can go to another provider.
I don't know. It's a subscription service too. Like, I gotta read that.
Because does Game Pass? Are you just like borrowing a license? Because you haven't bought the game, so like
you have the license if you subscribe though, right?
But you only have the cloud. I mean, I guess it depends how they do it on other services because you can only really play cloud games through Xbox Ultimate, whatever. But if you're on like NVIDIA doesn't that only work technically if you already have the game?
Yeah.
And then you're technically you're not using an NVIDIA service, but you're using the game that you already own, essentially, or unless I'm thinking about that.
I think you have to own it, as well as NVIDIA has to have a deal with the publisher to allow the rights to stream it, because they got in trouble about that earlier on, where they were just letting you stream anything. And then I think some publishers are like, oh, whoa, where's our cut? I mean, we understand the person bought the game, but we want our cut for you streaming or being able to stream our game or something like that.
There's not a lot of examples out there. That's why I'm like, why are they attacking such a small percentage? There's not a lot of examples of like this is a gaming cloud service. There was Google essentially, and I'm sure more is going to pop up. And it's the same thing with Boosteroid. Like Boosteroid isn't that the same? Like you already own the game.
I'm sure that one person that uses that can tell you.
I don't know. It's just weird to me, but like hey, cool.
Okay, so I don't see like I don't know if it has anything to do with Game Pass. And we may have to own the game, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, because they would have to like the other provider would have to know that you have a license, and Game Pass I don't think gives you a license because you just or like
okay. So let me read this again. It says today Activision Blizzard does not license its games to cloud game streaming services, nor does it stream the games itself. These licenses will ensure that gamers that have purchased one or more Activision games on a PC or console store, or that have subscribed to a multi-game subscription service that includes Activision games. So that is, it says either purchased an ABK game on a PC or console store,
Mhm.
or that have subscribed to a multi-game subscription service that includes Activision games, Game Pass, right? Have the
Well,
right to stream those games with any cloud gaming streaming service of their choice and play them on any device using any operating system. So this is saying that subscribers
I guess.
subscribers to Game Pass in the EU at least will be able to play the games on whatever service they want. And for ABK
that just
games.
sounds weird because, like, the way it's worded, it's based on a future move as opposed to an existing move. Because, like they stated, you can't. There's no place where you can subscribe to Activision games.
Yeah, but they had to, because that's why I'm like, this is a dumb thing to argue about, because the cloud market is still in its
well, that's what they're
infancy.
trying to do, though, is project, right? They're projecting the future. They're assuming that ABK games are going to be in Game Pass, right?
Mhm.
So they're saying, well, does xCloud or the Microsoft's Game Pass subscriptions service, because of Game Pass, have a benefit and draw more subscribers in because of ABK games that gives the other providers not a even chance in hell, right? So they're saying, well, if you subscribe to Game Pass, the remedy is you can use whatever cloud service you want.
I think the workaround for Microsoft on this, not that they need a workaround, but I think it'll be almost like the way the cable companies sometimes do stuff with the individual like channels and websites, where you have to log in and tell them your provider. So like, if let's say you wanted to watch the USA Network and you go to usanetwork.com and you want to see like the live feed or something like that, they would ask, oh, well, who's your cable provider? Is it Comcast, Verizon?
And you put like Xbox.
Yeah,
I was thinking something like that too.
Yeah, so you would log in through your Xbox Live account.
Yeah, because there has to be a way for them to check that you have a license to that game.
Yeah. So I think that's all it will basically take. So if
that's
you
the
wanna
way
stream it on Boosteroid,
They do that
or
with
stream
like
it on-
right now, there's Steam, right? Like if you play Halo Infinite through Steam, you still have to log on Xbox
you still have to
Live.
buy Halo on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you buy Halo on Steam, you still
Yeah,
have to log on.
You can, but you don't have to. You can just stay with your Steam account.
Oh, you could just see your Steam.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the
I
same
didn't
thing
know
with
that.
Forza Motorsport, although I think your existing save doesn't carry. So if you start it on Xbox and buy it on Steam, I think you're kind of hosed on your progress. But if you do it the other way, I think your progress will be able to transfer. So it's going to be
there's
a tricky
some
situation.
weird things like that, because I know Minecraft on the Switch, you can log in with your Microsoft account on Minecraft on the Switch and get Xbox achievements.
Yeah.
So
It's so weird. Yeah, I guess we'll see how they do it. They could go a lot of different routes, like with cloud services. Like, yes, you could play ABK games, but you still have to log in through Xbox to even start a Call of Duty game. Like, I feel like they could still do something weird like that.
Remember that,
yes, it's available.
It's going to be enforced by a third party too, right? So, like, they got
to make sure it's available, but they're not going to dictate how they do it. Essentially, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe there's probably some kind of like rules within how they do it. Like I bet there probably is. It's just, I mean, this makes, honestly, I didn't read through this whole thing as before. Again, I just saw like comments and stuff. Like, I didn't see enough attention brought to that aspect of this whole thing. Honestly, that's a pretty fucking big deal. Like, the CMA looks even stupider now, in my opinion. Like, or more stupid. I'm sorry. That looks more stupid in this situation, because, I mean, that's fucking like solving all the problems that they could possibly have, plus also benefiting consumers even more, like in so many different situations. Yeah, but one thing it would do though was get more subscribers into Game Pass, which is what Microsoft wants at the end of the day. And Microsoft's just saying, we don't care whose servers you use to play the fucking games. You know what I mean? Like, it's just expanding Game Pass into more platforms. Ultimately, is all it is. You want to run our Game Pass subscription on your server blades? Fucking go for it, man. We want to get your customers. Like, well, at least with ABK games, it was what it's talking about. But
Yeah, it's not saying all games, right? It's just this is
It's
just
relegating to
referring
ABK because it has to do with the ABK acquisition, right? But
Yeah.
maybe they take
Yeah.
the same approach with the rest of their games as well. I don't know, but like it's very 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 interesting. Like I'm kind of blown away by that concession. To be honest with you, like it went above and beyond what I thought with the purchasing games, you know. And like I had to read it 2 or 3 times to make sure I saw that correctly. That's massive.
Yeah.
The
biggest
Can the Cat? I mean, well, like again, one of the UK's like whole things was we don't want to have to oversee this thing. You know, like if this impacts everything globally and the EU's taking charge of having it, or they're relying on Microsoft's third party and they're okay with it. Does that hurt? CMA's argument? You know, like I feel like this might help the appeal. I don't know. It's interesting. What'd you just put there in chat?
Oh, just a comment. It was right. Like he tagged you.
Okay. Yeah, the biggest
Okay.
says, do you guys think suppose the deal already has gone through? Do you guys think there could be a UE World of an EU World of Warcraft? Imagine that.
Oh, EU.
No, I think it's talking about an Unreal Engine World of Warcraft. It's not. It hasn't gone through yet, right? It was
Unreal would be epic though, so that's why I think he's supposed to say EU, but I think he just typed it backwards.
I think he's talking about because like Coalition and other Microsoft like companies have.
Oh, he said
like
he said Unreal.
yeah have like very savvy with Unreal. If they made a new World of Warcraft and they made it in Unreal, I don't know. That's up to Blizzard. Really, I think regardless, it's up to Blizzard what they use. What are they using for Diablo?
Yeah, I was about to say, what is that? Isn't that
I would not
Unreal?
use Unreal Engine for World of Warcraft. That sounds like a terrible idea.
It does.
Yeah, it's not a good Unreal Engine's not the best with open worlds, right?
I don't.
Yeah.
Or Lupa said World of Warcraft is already an Unreal Engine. I don't think so. Is it? That would
I don't know.
surprise me if it is.
What is
I don't
Diablo
think so, 'cause I
4
don't-
then?
World of Warcraft is like old. I don't know if like Unreal would have been that big at that point. I don't know. It's probably their own shit, I would guess, but I don't know. It could be.
Wow, it is. Is it?
What game's
That's
Unreal?
surprising. Wait, okay. It says the WoW engine.
Yeah, that's their own thing.
Warcraft 3.
And to be honest with you, I'm not too high on the Unreal Engine right now. Anyway, like I understand the technical cool stuff that you say there is 3-bit. I don't give a shit. I just know that these games coming out, I have so many fucking problems that are in the Unreal. There's been the one game come out this generation, I think, that's like really polished and that's an open world that's using Unreal, and that's Dead Island 2.
That game, man.
It was great, but also they couldn't make it fully open world because of the Unreal Engine, so they had to make it like all compartmentalized and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
They couldn't do it with Gotham Knights. They couldn't do it with Redfall. Like Unreal Engine has in the past has had so many damn issues with a lot of these games.
I
That,
can't
like,
think
I
of
just
a
don't-
single. I mean, I'm sure there's one, but I can't think of their big properties. They all use their own in-game engine that they've made.
Witcher,
like they've continued to carry on.
CD Red.
Because Call of Duty uses its own thing that they've kept building off of. Like Diablo, I just looked up. It said
proprietary.
engine. And World of Warcraft, they've been doing that too. So I don't know.
I think Unreal Engine is popular because it's like a very powerful engine that's easy for like developers to get access to, right? And use and stuff. But like, I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's not my favorite engine. I'm sorry, everybody. You know, like because
wait until Immortals comes out to see how Unreal Engine 5 handles.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said it before in other games or other shows. Unreal Engine 5 is better for open world because of the way it handles geometry is way different from Unreal Engine 4, which is why I thought it was weird that Redfall decided to use Unreal Engine 4 for the development, because their LODs are kind of, it's pretty bad on Redfall. Like, it's a lot of pop-ins, and it's not really great for open world games. But Unreal Engine 5, one of the biggest things of
Unreal, like in the past few years, has just had so much good marketing behind it that a lot of devs are just like, yeah, we've heard so much about it, why not just use it? And like, also
they're
marketing
the game to the developers too. You know,
Epic
what I mean?
gives you an incentive. They like your first 1 million copies, you don't have to pay Epic anything, and then after that or something like that, you have to pay Epic.
It's just
yeah,
man.
But most Microsoft studios use Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So
with 343 uses it somewhat, right? Playground isn't using it. Turn 10 doesn't use it.
Call of Duty doesn't Call of Duty use Unreal Engine? Like,
they use their
or
own
ID thing. Like, it's a modified version of the ID.
I think it's modified id Tech engine or something like that. So
modified.
Most of Bethesda devs don't use Unreal. Redfall, they used Unreal this time, and it didn't work out great for them. But you have Creation Engine is used by Bethesda. You have id Tech used by id. Machine Games, I don't know what they use. They probably use id Tech as well, or no?
I don't know.
Maybe they use Unreal.
Like, you like Wolfenstein?
I'm not sure. Yeah, Wolfenstein may be Unreal. I'm not sure. But
yeah, Call of Duty's is IW engine. That's what they call it.
Okay,
it's a modified version of id Tech 3 from Call of Duty 3, and they just kept iterating on it, so it's like up to IW7 engine now or whatever.
So then you have the Coalition uses Unreal, yes, famously. So
yes, id Tech 5
is the Initiative. What are they using on Perfect Dark? Is it Unreal?
Unknown at this point. I
don't remember. My brain is.
I feel like a lot of the games that were going to use Unreal, like, are just taking forever as well this generation.
It uses UE5. Yeah,
Hellblade is on Unreal.
Hellblade's on Unreal. So
yeah, they're gonna friggin'
that's gonna be insane. Let's see, what other devs are there? We know that Unreal is going to be used in some form or fashion for State of Decay 3.
Yeah, they're using UE5. And then, like, Perfect Dark is going to use Meta Human.
I remember they were using Unreal for like animations or the cutscenes or something like that, but I don't remember.
I think Everwild says it's on Unreal. So
Everwild.
Sea of Thieves is Unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves is Unreal.
Yeah.
So Rare uses
Unreal.
Unreal.
That's Unreal.
Yeah, that's why they were gonna talk to Redfall team.
Yeah. There's a handful. I mean, there's a good amount that uses Unreal. But there's also a lot of other engines that are used as well. So I don't know. I would say it's the most popular engine probably used. For big games. It still doesn't
creating one from scratch.
It still doesn't mean a game isn't gonna have its problems or be ass or have issues, just like every other engine though.
And I think that's probably where like we're seeing this more is like there's so many new startup studios and they don't have that like year of like game engine where like before game engines were like mainstream, like every game had to kind of create their own thing. Like they just kept iterating on that. Whereas new studios pop up now and they're like, well, we don't have a game or game engine because we just started a studio. Let's just go get Unreal.
And a lot of devs know how to use it, so regardless of if they suck with it or not, they still know how to use it. So it's just like the de facto. Like, for me, it all comes down to the creators and how good are they utilizing the tools that they have at their disposal, right? Like, you could have an amazing engine and really not do amazing things with it. Like, you could look at games like the Decima engine; it's fucking gorgeous. Like, there's not enough people talking about, wow, I want everything to be made in Decima because the fucking games are great. The RE engine, the games usually look polished and optimized and run really fast and fluid and really great, but there's not an outcry. Put everything in an RE engine. It's like, because
I think for PlayStation, they do leverage that Decima engine. I think that one,
for sure.
Was it 4 games? You had Death Stranding. You had obviously the Horizon series, and then I think Ghost of Tsushima was even in it as well.
Yeah, I just see a lot of outcry for it because of the marketing. I think Epic and they do a great job marketing Unreal and showing off all the benefits, and we don't see those things. Like, there's not a big Decima showcase or RE Engine showcase where they like, oh, look at the next advancements in the RE Engine and all these things that you're going to be able to do, or and all this stuff. And instead, it was like very forward facing because of the way that they license it to third parties, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sold on like it's the end all be all engine, even with UE5, because we hear this every fucking Unreal. It's like this has been going on since Unreal 3 was announced. Like, oh, look at Unreal 3. It's going to be the shit. Oh my God. Never before seen.
Unreal 3, like, I think the showcase was like about lighting, or whether it's like, look at this fucking lighting. It's so good in Unreal.
And people forget that stuff. But like, the games looked like other games that came out in other engines, like Unreal 4 was the same thing. Unreal 4 is going to change games forever. You're not going to believe all the shit that we can do with Unreal 4. And it's like, yeah, this is great. But I also like Unreal other games that are other engines
used to have
too.
Unreal Engine used to have an entire game based off of it. Unreal, the fucking game, the tournament shooter.
Yeah.
Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally, it was packaged with Unreal Tournament 3. Like, that was the only way to use Unreal Engine was through the UK of that. But I will say, as someone who used Unreal Engine 5, it is really impressive. I will say that. We have to see
every next generation engine is, though, right? You would imagine
it is, but like
they all have their benefits.
It's kind of like
cons,
AI,
whatever they're designed to do.
AI is constantly improving. Game development is constantly improving. I do agree with you, Matt, to the point with like Unreal Engine 4. There's been a lot of cases where I'm like, where the optimization isn't 100% there.
Are we going to see the same in Unreal 5 though? Like, I mean, we could. Like, there's no guarantee that these guys are going to use all the tools to their fullest.
I will say it's a lot easier to optimize in Unreal Engine 5, but it's still up to the developers to fully do it. Some of it is automated, which is nice. Like, that's what I will say. Like, why I was confused why Redfall didn't use Unreal Engine 5. Some of the problems that happen in Redfall could have been mitigated from just using that engine. Like, it could have been more of an automated process.
And I gotta say,
I digress.
This marketing thing of like, it's so easy to move Unreal Engine 4 games into Unreal Engine 5 is all complete bullshit. It's all
not 100%.
Like, otherwise we'd see all these games that have been releasing in Unreal 4 and Unreal Engine 5 that have been in development for years. Like, they ain't releasing in Unreal 5. Like, in fact, I think Fortnite's still the only game that's currently using Unreal 5.
Yeah. Certain things are easy to transfer over. Some things are still
and it's been we're 3 years into this fucking generation now. We've been talking about Unreal 5 for years now, and it's still like, where is it? So I just fuck it. I just cool. It sounds great on paper and it looks cool when you show it off in demos, but guess what? Tech demos aren't fucking games, right? Tech,
you're right. I still want Arkham Knight to be freaking. Where's my Arkham Knight update for one?
Where is it? Where is it? You know why they don't update it? Because it's Unreal. It's fucking not gonna do it because it's hard to get that shit running at 60 frames. Same thing with look at these meta faces. You've never seen real faces like this before. Have you played Death Stranding and looked at fucking Norman Reedus' face? It could have been Norman Reedus. Have you played?
It's incredible.
Have you played Hellblade 1? Like, the first Hellblade, that's fucking the actress. It's her. Like, they could physically probably touch her face and it'd probably actually do something. Like, it looks that real. So it's like realistic graphics have happened before. It's not. It's just like ray tracing. Fuck ray tracing too. I hate that shit.
I mean, ray tracing's kind of cool though when it works.
It's ray tracing. It's cool. It's cool if it doesn't kill your game's performance and cause you to run games at sub 30 frames all the damn time. Like,
but that's going to be the Xbox period.
Yeah, but they're forcing that shit into games now. Like, this should have been like 5 years from now. Like, when it's not eating up all the resources, right? Like,
the thing is, like, in 5 years though, the next level of ray tracing is going to be particles, where they track like every single dust particle is going to cast its own shadow and like
that's
stuff
like
that.
Look amazing.
it's going to look amazing, but it's going to run like dog shit because it's going to be the next level of it.
Yeah.
So like,
So
the bar's gonna
tech's always
constantly move.
advancing.
don't put that shit in my games until it doesn't ruin the performance of my game and make the entire game look like ass anyway. Because that's cool. It would look great when I'm standing fucking still, you know, but I don't play games standing still. I play games moving in motion.
That's the thing where Xbox and PlayStation marketed their Xbox as a ray tracing platform, and we have Generation 1 ray tracing, which sucks ass.
Yeah, it's dog shit. And people act like reflections and puddles it's a ray tracing invention. Fuck, it's not. I was getting,
Like people, the mirror thing is a little ridiculous. I will admit, the mirror thing, like they're like, "Whoa, we could have mirrors in video games."
we've
now."
had
I'm
that
just
shit like
bro.
back in the day, like forever. I remember like the first time I saw it, like it was on a PS1 game or 64. And I'm like, wow, it's my reflection. Holy shit. You know what I mean? And now, guess what? I'm playing Dead Island 2, which is an Unreal 4, and I walk by a mirror, and there's no fucking reflection in the mirror. I'm like, wow, bravo, game developers. Congratulations. You forgot how to put reflections in mirrors using the amazing power of the Unreal Engine. Holy shit. That's amazing. Do you need to incorporate ray tracing?
Yeah, it's
in order
unreal
to have
because there should be a reflection
now?
there. You don't get it. It's unreal because there should be a reflection, but there's not.
Like puddles, shiny puddles. Oh my God. It's a new invention in fucking games now. Oh my God. It's ray tracing or nothing at all. People thought Forza Horizon 5 had ray tracing because it had reflections on the cars.
Yeah.
Right?
Had cube maps,
And
like
I was
really
like,
smartly
no,
placed
it's just
cube maps.
really good reflections, and they didn't need to put in ray tracing. Here's the if they do it great, awesome. If it doesn't affect my performance and it's going to make it look better, cool. Otherwise, keep shit out of my games until you figure out a way not to kill my game. Put it in.
And they will, like, I feel like, because ray tracing isn't just reflections; it's also lighting. It's how it handles.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I think over time, developers will figure out how to use that in a dynamic way. Because what's hard is all that needs to be dynamic. You're moving around the camera. You're jumping around. You're being dumb. You're rolling around. They need to figure out how to get everything working while still being optimized. We are in sort of a generation 1 where it is very much hinged upon real-time performance. All of it is happening while in real time. So if you're rendering is something in ray tracing, you know, that could take hours as opposed to Unreal Engine, which is doing it right in front of you. So they need to figure out how to get it to work dynamically. And some people are already figuring it out. I'm sure Coalition is already figuring a lot of that stuff out. Playground, they're probably going to kill it with Forza. It's usually racing games that push the envelope of graphical fidelity, and then it ripples through to the end of the generation. Is usually how it happens. They figure out how to optimize for a system towards the end of the generation. I hope that doesn't really happen this generation. I don't think it will. Because of just be optimistic, man. Just be optimistic.
I'm great. Here, I'll say this again though. Like, I don't care what technology you use, or I don't care what engine you use. I don't care what the acronyms you use. I don't care about any of that shit. I just care about.
You just want good performance. Give me that 60
if it's
frame.
performing, if it looks good and it plays good, right?
Yeah, it's just Xbox, like not just Xbox, every fucking tech device, they have their own little marketing words they like to throw up, and like, especially when it's first gen, you have to realize that's probably bullshit.
Yeah, well, it's the gamers too. You know what I mean? Because they push that, like, wow, this everything, like, is it going to be an Unreal, or is it going to be in this? Oh my God, it's going to be amazing because of this or that. And I'm like, cool, yeah, I'm glad you're excited, but that doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean?
It's like putting on a car that's like, you can do 190 if you're going downhill, like straight, but it's like, you're not doing 190 just like around turns and shit. So it's like,
there's just so many aspects that make a game good besides if it has ray tracing or if it's built in the Unreal Engine, right? Like, I just that I'll keep saying that until Like whenever it gets brought up, I'm just like,
Next console
I don't care.
generation, you'll have decent ray tracing, but
Yeah.
if they start implementing other parts of ray tracing, it may still run like shit.
when I see it and it's like amazing and I'm having a great experience in the game, I'm like, wow, this ray tracing really made a difference. By that, how many other new things will there be at that time? You know,
Probably a lot.
Yep.
Looks nice
So-
in Fortnite.
people
nice
won't be
lighting.
talking about ray tracing; they'll be talking about Doug tracing, or like,
Dump tracing.
I don't know. So pick another name, tracing. I don't know.
It's particle tracing.
Particle tracing. They'll talk about, I don't know, air tracing. We're gonna trace the air.
It traces every particle.
We're gonna trace. Hey, next up, molecule tracing, atom tracing,
All of it.
electron, proton tracing, neutron tracing. It's fucking yeah. Let's go.
All the
I hate.
things.
Hey everybody, we still have one last segment to get to here on FSP.
Hey, AJH, I just want to say the next console generation should be like in 5 years, so they got time to improve it. why I
AJH
said that.
missed what you said. What did you say?
Because we were in the
Yeah, I
tidbits
was in
thing.
the tidbits thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was just saying that like in 5 years, that's why I said the next console generation. Not like they're obviously not coming out next year.
Yeah. All right, so let me. Shit.
Boots.
I'm behind. Hold on, real quick, guys. This is Tidbits, the segment where we look ahead at the games coming out this week for all platforms, and there's very few, so this will be a shorter segment this week for sure. First off, let me open up this real quick. Sorry about this, everybody. I was so caught up in ABK, and then I got on a Unreal rant again, which is one of my favorite things to do lately, that I completely forgot to set this up. So I am setting it up as we go on the fly, and it's going to be great. It's going
Shout
to be
out
awesome.
to the 124 people in here. Everybody hit the like button. Love y'all.
Yeah, do what 3-Bit said. 100%. Appreciate you all. Yeah, here we go. This first game is called Humanity.
Oh yeah,
Um,
this was already out.
What is Humanity?
Puzzle game.
It's that crowd game, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
you control a bunch of people. You move them to
Oh,
where they
I
need to
remember
go.
this thing. Yeah, this is on PlayStation 5 4 PSVR and VR2 and PC. It's available today or tomorrow for $30.
Yeah.
This week kind of sucks overall. I'm just
I
saying
mean,
for
I think everybody moved out of the way of Tears of the Kingdom from last week, so they're figuring people are
Yeah.
still putting like 40 to 140 hours in. So no sense in releasing the game right now.
we got a $2 super chat from Victor Alstein that says, can't Coalition just make their own engine for Xbox Game Studios? They probably could, but I don't want to remove them from Unreal, because what would Unreal Engine be without Coalition? Nobody know how to use it. Nobody know how to use the damn thing. Like, besides them and Epic, they need somebody to show it off.
Coalition engine.
Epic
takes
should
over
be
for
paying
Unreal.
Coalition to use their engine because there's such good marketing for Unreal.
They use Coalition as like
Yeah, they
This is
showed
weird.
up at their showcase and everything, like their tech demos
Yeah.
and stuff. Was that Matrix thing? That was an Unreal tech demo too before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ran like
Mhm.
cutter dog shit. And
Well,
everybody's
that's
like,
because it.
look at the graphics.
was
It's
the
so
worst.
amazing.
It
I'm like,
wasn't-
it's fucking running at 10 frames a second.
worst
This is
case
horse.
scenario.
It wasn't made to run well. It was made to show off the potential of Unreal
Yeah,
5, not
potential
like-
of shitty running optimized games. Yeah, that's sounds fantastic. That's the
It's
world
a
we're
tech-
living in now. What's the fucking difference? Yeah,
It's a tech demo. It's not made to run at fucking 400 frames a second.
well, fuck.
There was no optimization.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, what if we poured in all like real time ray tracing, all this stuff without like was the worst case scenario. That's why I kind of ran pretty.
What a future. Unreal is the same as it is now. It just runs like shit all the time. Next up, Firmament on PC and Mac.
Yep.
Firmament. This looks like a puzzle slash slow walking. It almost looks like Myst.
Yeah, I think it's made by the same team or some of the developers from Myst. So it's walking puzzle game for PC and Mac.
Right on. And I gotta say, these companies spend so much damn time making tech demos. You'd think they'd be able to release some fucking games, right? like these tech demos you see at these showcases, like it looks so impressive. Like, hey, that's awesome, but could you have spent that time making that thing instead? Like, make a game instead? Because like it'd be great if we actually got to play that shit.
I'll be honest. Back in the day, I spent like hundreds of hours playing one of the NVIDIA's tech demos.
Yeah,
it's a physics thing about cloth, and you just like throw balls at like different types of cloth and watch how they break. I just fucking played that as a kid forever.
Hey, Lego 2K Drive. This game actually looks kind of fun. I think it's $70
on next gen. Yeah, it's 60 on previous gen, 70 on next gen.
I do have a fear about this game, guys. This comes out on the 19th, and it comes out on everything. But I do have a fear that when the rumors came out about Midnight Club, like 2K, new racing game and stuff like that, I have a feeling it was this game all along.
One of the rumors about that was the original like composer of Midnight Club like tweeted out an image of like Midnight Club or something like that.
Well, it was in their financials originally, or like in their statements they had made to like shareholders before about like, oh, we have these kind of games coming, and like one of them was like a racing game. So we all assumed it was going to be Midnight Club, I think, come back, but this could be.
I think Midnight Club is still. I have a feeling it's still in the works. I just think it's going to be released later.
That's an open world racer, right? 2K Drive.
Yeah, 2K Drive is usually with Midnight Club. They make a Midnight Club and it kind of comes out on GTA because they use a lot of the car physics for GTA stuff.
Yeah.
And last up is Trackmania. This is a free-to-play version of Trackmania that is coming out today, I think, right?
Yep.
And
or yesterday.
If you haven't played Trackmania, it's pretty damn awesome.
These trailers are well edited. Got some.
I wonder if they're using Unreal 3-bit. Have we even asked that question yet? Is there ray tracing in all these games? Do we even give a shit? I don't. What is that? Is that a new game? Is that another game you put in there, or is that just an art? What did you put in the DMs, Buzz?
Oh, that was about the CMA getting overturned by Cat.
Oh, okay, cool.
You used the wrong trailer.
Did I? Oh, I'm sorry.
The reason I said not to use this one is because the last half of the trailer is just a fucking audience. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, this is pretty lame. Watch people be excited. Okay, let me put the other trailer in.
It's whatever. I mean, you get the general idea.
This one's actually, I'm looking forward to this. This is free also, people. Like, Trackmania is a pretty damn good time. It's pretty much like short tracks, and you like hot lap. Like, you see what place you get. It kind of operates like trials.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get gold, silver, or bronze, you know, for how fast you beat it, and you try and get gold on all the tracks.
Yeah, I think I played this a long time ago on PC. They had like
yeah, this one's
really
already on
creative
PC.
tracks.
This is just the console version.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Trackmania is cool. I recommend it.
They also had one in Game Pass or Games with Gold a long time ago. Like I think it was Trackmania 2015 or whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah. I want them to make a new Trials. A little overdue, a little bit. Same developer, I believe.
They're making Division Heartland, I think. I think they put them on that.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Red
Storm.
Yeah. Really?
Didn't they?
I don't know. That sucks though. Like,
Ubisoft is having a hard time figuring out which team to put on what these days, it seems.
let's just put all of our devs into one fucking franchise, one style of game. It's great. Yeah. Way of the future.
Yeah, we'll make Avatar and not release it.
And we'll make.
Oh
them
no,
all-
it's I was thinking of Red Links. You're
Red
right.
Links.
It's the Red Links does trials, so it's the other.
okay.
Red.
Good. I'm like,
Welcome to the future. And
welcome
machine.
to the future. Yeah,
Fusion.
that's from Trials Fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trials. I fucking love Trials. Such a good game franchise. I need a new one.
Yeah,
It's
I was
time.
obsessed with the first one was Trials HD. Then they did the second one. I forgot what the second one was called, but they're both.
It was Trials 2.
The last few have been kind of ass because they just took it in a different direction.
The last one was great.
Yeah,
the
Trials
one
HD
before
was
that
one
wasn't
of
as
my
The
good.
one where you played as like the boy and girl and you like did other stuff.
I like Trials HD. That was my
What?
favorite one.
Was it Trials Rising? The one where it was like
Oh yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, that one was the Far Cry one, wasn't it?
the one where it was
Or
like
Far Cry
the Far
themed.
Cry Blood Dragon like kind of spin-off thing.
Yeah, but they had really good
Talk about the
tracks.
second one.
The last one that
Right.
came out was better than the one that came out before it.
Trials Fusion. Is that the one? Or are you talking
That
The
was
last
the-
one's Rising, I think.
Yeah, the last one's
All right.
Rising. That one I just thought it went off in a completely different direction. I didn't like.
Yeah. Try
They have a lot of
Trials games, guys.
I didn't even realize. They have Trials Evolution, Trials Fusion, Trials Rising, and then Trials. I guess that's a DLC of the Blood Dragon, which is like probably the Ubisoft.
What engine does Trials use? Does it have ray tracing?
Probably UB's.
Are they
internal engine.
using dynamic light shaders with virtuosity amplifiers? Is that a thing?
Yes, real-time ray tracing. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
The,
Well,
the flux capacitor is not working in the new engine.
what lighting method is this? This is beautiful. What how are they making their shadows? This is insane.
All I'm gonna say is they need to put make a Trials in Snowdrop.
Oh yeah. I will say, if you're going to talk about me geeking out over an engine, Snowdrop is great. I will say
Yeah.
it doesn't translate to everything because that shitty ass X Defiant is made in Snowdrop as well. So an engine
Hey, I
doesn't
heard it was
automatically better
I
don't mean
heard it
good.
was-
Better means
I mean, it has a chance of being good.
it's generic
Yeah.
first person shooter.
A lot of
The
old
game.
Call of Duty people are loving it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. When they're first,
Well, they are because it has everything that they've been asking for the past like 10 years in Call of Duty.
I hear you. It just feels lame and generic and samey. You know, I don't know. Like, and it doesn't look that great. Graphics are kind of just mid, and the controls are kind of assy.
I disagree. I think the graphics are actually really good on that, especially like when you're up close.
If you
like,
play that and then play Call of Duty, it's like in another Call of Duty is in another fucking level. Like,
I think it's
Well,
just
it's
an
not
art
fair.
style
Well,
because like there's some really good detail in the texture on
okay,
X Defiant. Like you can see like the individual bolts and scratches like when you're on like the side of the plane wing and shit. I was actually kind of blown away with like the level of detail they had on some of that stuff.
I'll have to go stare at the scratches on the plane wings next time I play. I was assessing from the overall aesthetic of what I was playing. I didn't like it.
You
I mean,
can't get past the fact that there's fucking Sam Fisher people running around shooting people. That's your problem.
that's a problem too, but it's not as bad as it was originally. At least they're not like jumping in
they
front
made a
of
major improvement.
Wait,
from
are the
first
cleaners
stuff.
still healers or are they still burning stuff? Like in
They're
the
still
Division?
burning people.
Yeah, they're burning.
Okay. So they
They're-
got rid of that healer.
The
crap.
healers, the healers are the
healers
Libertad
still-
now
yeah.
for the Far Cry group.
Ah,
They've
I think that's the
expanded it.
major issue is the balancing of the abilities because everyone chooses the healer, but if you do, you can get some interesting strategies because the Ghost Recon people are all shields, and the way to counter that is with the cleaners because your fire stuff goes through their shields.
I will say
So-
this that because of the abilities, it has a little bit of potential. I will play.
That's what I don't
it's
like
gonna be.
about it.
It's
I
gonna
wish
be.
they would remove the
Are you
abilities.
fucking kidding me, man? That's like the only thing it has going for it. Like
That's what ruins the game is fucking shitty abilities that makes the skill gap not there. It's like,
Otherwise, it's
oh
just
look,
this-
some guy could just shoot a fucking flamethrower at me instead of actually fucking shooting me with a gun. Cool, you're so good at the game.
Otherwise, it's just a worse Call of Duty without the abilities. Like I don't know. I do think that the game has some potential. I'll give it that. I think that it can be fun to play at times, right? We'll see how fully fleshed out it is when the game comes out, if it ever actually releases. And I think that I will play it, and we'll see how we play it when I play with multiple friends and stuff, and trying to have fun with it. But right now, I will say this: at least the spies aren't running around doing fucking kickflips and shit like that now, right? Like they were doing some crazy stuff. It was like they were at the fucking X Games, like colors everywhere. They're doing that shit on the screen. That's like it. I don't want to see fucking like.
Oh, you mean the thing that Black Ops has done for the past 4 years? Where at the end of every screen, you're like, yeah, let's just go do a dab at the leaderboards. I'm dabbing because it's Black Ops. Just do dabs everywhere now. The Call of Duty said that fucking problem for so long.
Yeah, I don't want that shit to invade fucking Tom Clancy shit. Like keep Clancy serious as you can. Like Call of Duty, like you can do whatever. I don't really care. Fucking
Fortnite-ify Call of Duty.
Don't bastardize the Clancy brand for the sake of trying to make it more popular to the younger audience. Fuck the younger audience. I want
Did you not
serious
you
games.
didn't have that problem with Rainbow Six Extraction.
That was my one drawback. I wish they made another real Rainbow Six, but I still had fun with it.
Oh, you
At
mean the
least
fucking aliens? Because that's all Clancy. You know, the fucking aliens that Tom Clancy wrote about? Yeah, that's fucking real.
You know what? You know what? At least Rainbow Six Extraction had slow tactical gameplay. It was tactics. You had to work as a fucking team and communicate.
That game, you could solo it. You could solo that game.
Well, if you're Jasper, we're not all you, buddy. Okay. We're not all getting like 12-to-1 kill to death ratios out here. Okay. I did solo it.
I do wish.
I did solo it some.
Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite Tom Clancy story. The one where on the Red Submarine, the sequel to that was where it was actually the Blue Submarine with the aliens. They were living under the water, and then they had to send in the Ghost Recon people to take over the alien submarine. So good.
What?
Game of the year.
I just want my Clancyverse to be serious tactical type style gameplay, right?
I just wanted Division 3.
Yeah, me too.
That's all I want.
Snowdrop is an amazing engine. It is. So
and like I like Rainbow Six Siege, but there was something I really liked about the older ones where it was story focused. You bring in a team, you can like manage your team in the older, like I'm talking about really the old Rainbow Six games.
Oh, yeah.
There was just something cool about like the Ghost Recons and the old Rainbow Six, like even Vegas, where it was a lot more tactical. It's a lot more about how you approach a mission rather than make it like more of a multiplayer type experience where it's like,
yes,
I feel like, yeah, I agree.
If they came out with the fucking Rainbow Six Vegas 3 and a GRAW 3 and like a KhAos ThEory 2 style, I mean those versions of these franchises, I would literally shit my pants. I would be so happy.
Why can't we have both though?
Well, we don't have both. We literally have just
that's the problem.
Like that
Jasper
type games.
If they had both, I would be content and happy. But instead,
we have the Division 2 and we have X Defiant.
The Division 2 came out fucking years ago. I want a new division, and
we're getting Heartland.
That's not the same thing. Trust me, it is not. Anyway. Everybody,
Jasper's being a rebel today.
Because his favorite shooter is fucking Crossfire X. This is why he has these opinions. Okay.
Hey, I will sort of defend him on Crossfire.
Have you played the multiplayer on Crossfire 3-bit?
You can't because it's shut down now.
I can't now. But I was talking about the single player.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Say that after you play the multiplayer, buddy. Okay.
The multiplayer
is
I haven't played the
knife and
multiplayer.
you can run almost twice as fast and stab people before they get to the objective.
You could literally stand behind the entire team and just kill them when they spawn. That's what Jasper did, and that's why he loves it so much.
How did Remedy mess up?
Where the fuck is Psychonauts?
That was so weird. Also, where's Psychonauts?
Where's Psycho at?
Break.
He's like
he's gonna play. Oh, okay.
I expected some backup here, bro. You're like
Well, I was gone. Look, I had to go get a drink of water and stuff.
Okay. Well, we're heading out. So outro. Psycho, where can everybody find you?
You can find me playing Snowdrop Engine games every day because it's a phenomenal engine. No, chat tonight was awesome. Thanks for coming out and hanging with us for fucking 3 hours. And you find me everywhere on social media. Psychonauts 8. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me here every Monday, of course, 10 o'clock on FSP, and fucking Friday. Xbox Ultimate. You can find me there too at 10 o'clock. So let's get this revolution going, and hopefully Cat overturns the CMA and the FTC gets dunked on, and we'll see.
What an outro.
Yeah, love it. Fuzzy, where can everybody find you? I know not playing Division 3.
Yeah, fingers crossed we get a Division 3, but we got that Star Wars game they're working on first. But man, it was awesome being here with you guys. Ton of laughs tonight. Thanks to everybody in the chat for coming out and those that catch us on replay. If you want to hear my endless rambles or rants about anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom 10 a.m. on Double Barrel Gaming on Friday, and then later that evening on Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Fun Speculation Network. See you there.
Thanks, Fuzz. 3-Bit, what about you, bro? Where can everybody find you?
Everyone can find me on the Bird app, Twitter at i3bit. I'll just say to hold the line. We got this. It's a little cropped, but that's okay. Hold the line, almost there. And you guys can follow me there. I'm on this show every Monday. I try to make Friday when I can, but it's been crazy. And 3-Bit, Ask 3-Bit on Wednesdays. So look out for that show if you want to hear your extended thoughts, etc. Love y'all. Thank everybody in the chat for arguing with me. It's been fun during the show. Love y'all. And I'll see you guys on the next show. Bye.
Thanks, 3-Bit. And just your outro. I don't even feel like saying your name right now, bro.
Yo, check it out. Lord Jasper Twitter, Lord Master Jasper YouTube, AI Game News Twitter. Check all that fun stuff out. 10 p.m. Monday, Friday, right here, Fun Speculation Network for FSP and Xbox Ultimate. Yo.
Jasper the Dabber here. Okay. Peace out, everyone. Hey, I appreciate you all. Thanks for being here. We still have over 100 people here. You guys rock. If you do like the content and you had some fun with us today, hit the like button, share it out, sub to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that cool stuff. You guys rock. Appreciate the gifted channel memberships. Appreciate the super chats. You guys are always showing amazing support, which is never expected, but always appreciated. And we'll see you on Thursday for PM in the PM with Pong Soul and I. Oh, and you best believe it's going to be juicy. Then we'll be back Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time for Xbox Ultimate Podcast, where it'll get even juicier. And we're on a lead up now to showcase season. We got EU approval. Lots of stuff going to be happening. It's going to be crazy. It's a great time to be a gamer. Play what you love. Love what you... I'm just kidding. That's fun. Peace out, everyone. And take it easy. Later.
Hi, everybody. Yes, OCD.
Oh.